Professional football on CBC. Brought to you by Canadian Pacific, owned by Canadians, working for Canadians. General Motors and your Chevrolet and Oldsmobile dealers across Canada. Labatt Breweries of Canada Limited, brewers of Labatt's 50 Ale and Labatt's Blue.
The Eastern Final in Montreal yesterday was not a classic. Trailing 7-6 with 2:20 to play, Jimmy Jones at quarterback fired for Gabriel. But Larry Utek was there for an easy interception. And he followed his blockers perfectly up the sideline, scampering 78 yards for the game's only touchdown. Montreal claimed the first Grey Cup berth with a 17-6 victory over Ottawa. In Edmonton today, it's another Calgary Eskimo final. Over the season, the Eskimos won the first two, 44-9 in Edmonton. And on September 3rd, Greg Butler's interception paved the way for a second Eskimo win in Calgary. But then on September 30th, the Stampeders found their form. Ken Johnson and Willie Burden had a big day as Calgary scored its first victory over the Eskimos since October 1976. At season's end, both teams ended with 12 victories. The Eskimos finished with 2 fewer losses. So today, live from Commonwealth Stadium, the Western Final, featuring the Calgary Stampeders and the Edmonton Eskimos.
Oh, fiberglass pink insulation is like long underwear for your house. You see, like your long underwear, fiberglass pink helps keep the heat in and the cold out. And like your long underwear, fiberglass pink should be worn from top to bottom, from the attic right down to the basement. But unlike your long underwear, fiberglass pink never wears out. You want to stay warm this winter? Call your building supply dealer. And think pink.
Cutting out, I'm moving out of here. I've paid my dues. Cutting out for some good times. Our good old dogs are near. Gonna spend some time my way. I'm really glad I'm here.
Canada's great taste in ale. What a beer to share.
Me and the boys in our 50s. Me and the boys and our beer.
When these two teams last met in the Western Conference Final 1 year ago today, it was a chilly minus 15 degrees Celsius in Edmonton. Today, it's a different story. The temperature +5, although the wind, northwest, 13 kilometers per hour, blowing left to right across your screen, could be a bit of a factor. However, the field conditions are perfect. The Eskimos assumed the favorites role in the contest this afternoon. They were unbeaten during the entire 79 season at home, posting a perfect mark, 8 wins and no losses, scoring 311 points at Commonwealth Stadium, while the defense allowed just 72. So the Calgary Stampeders have their work cut out for them this afternoon, but in a one-game showdown, just about anything can happen. Now let's go upstairs for Don Whitman and Terry Evanson.
Thank you, John. Hi, everybody. The Montreal Alouettes already have their berth in next Sunday's Grey Cup. Whether the Edmonton Eskimos provide the opposition, Terry, for a third straight year could very well depend on how well Tom Wilkinson performs this afternoon.
Tom Wilkinson, the best percentage quarterback in the history of the CFL, leading the most prolific offense in the history of the CFL, and that, to me, speaks for itself.
His opposite number, wearing the uniform of the Calgary Stampeders, Ken Johnson. And Johnson held a very hot hand during the last half of the season.
Well, he is, as the Stampeders go now, he had a great game against the BC Lions. As he goes, that Calgary Stampeder team will go.
We'll be back in just a minute for the kickoff in the CFL Western Final from Edmonton.
Feel when you got it. Do you reveal that you got it?
Pontiac helped introduce Canada to lean and roomy full-size cars. Our competition followed.
Hey, Pontiac! You got it!
And now, Pontiac's built for a changing world. Reduced weight, aerodynamic design, and a commanding new look. Just when our competition thought they'd finally caught up.
Nobody started like Pontiac.
You got it, Pontiac.
Under what might be described as the best conditions that a Western Final has been played in a number of years. A capacity crowd awaiting the kickoff. Kelvin Kirk is back along with Tom Forzani. There's the boot by Dave Cutler, and this Western Final is underway. Forzani starting out from his own 3-yard line. He tripped over one of his own blockers and is upset at about the 31-yard line. A 27-yard run back after a 62-yard kickoff, and Rob Forbes was the man that Forzani collided with. He seemed to have a pretty good head of steam as he was moving down the field. The Calgary offensive line. Krebs the center. Horton and Kersinger are the guards. Fairbanks and Garrell are the tackles. Kirk, Forzani, Vickers, and Armstead are the receivers Johnson will be throwing to. Burton and Sykes are the running backs. 1st and 10 for the Stampeders. The ball is at their own 31. Look for Willie Burton to get a fair bit of work this afternoon. Johnson going to Armstead. Armstead has a gain of about 5 or 6 yards before being stopped by Ed Jones.
We got an excellent pass protection. Ken Johnson has shown the coolness that he displayed against BC Lions last week, sitting in there, looking at his people downfield, picks him up. Willie Armstead's coming off, half speed, just starts to hook to the outside, gets away from Ed Jones, hooks up, and Johnson finds him.
Second and 4 for the Stampeders, a noisy crowd at Commonwealth Stadium. Johnson under pressure, he was able to get it away. Ed Jones was coming on the blitz, and Johnson was fortunate to unload that football just as he was hit.
They've got to come after Ken Johnson. What he displayed last week, they say that's his best sport. Roll out, find his receivers to the outside. We got to apply as much pressure as we possibly can, so they came with a safety blitz. When they roll right, the defensive backs are hooked up man on man, so they're going to blitz because they can't pass back to each side.
McTagg back for this 3rd down kick. An end-over-end boot taken by Butler, and Butler is stopped almost immediately at the 45 by Bob Lubig. That was a kick of only 29 yards, and Butler returned it 2 yards. So the Eskimos get pretty good field position at their own 45 for their first offensive series. Howes is the center, Millian and Upton the guards. Stevenson and Wilson are the tackles. Quarterback Tom Wilkinson has Kelly, Smith, Scott, and Konahowski as receivers, with Santucci and Germany in the running back positions. Wilkinson may go for the bomb in the first play, looking for Kelly, and it's knocked away by Terry Urban. Wilkinson was going down the sidelines, intended for Kelly, and Ed McElhaney was through on the veteran quarterback. Kelly, the nominee from the Eskimos for the Shenley Award as Rookie of the Year in the Canadian Football League. The Edmonton defensive set, Lewis and Wozniacki on the ends. McElhaney and Dombrowski are the tackles. The linebackers, Bakken in the middle, Palizzetti and Morrison. The secondary consists of Odoms, Walker, Burleson, Sparks, and Terry Urban. Urban, who knocked down that pass intended for Brian Kelly on Edmonton's first offensive play of this ball game. Wilkinson looking over the middle. It's incomplete. He didn't really seem to get anything on that ball. Reggie Lewis may have partially hit his arm as Wilkinson attempted to throw. At any rate, it will be 3rd and 10. So thus far, neither side in the first offensive thrust has been able to move the ball.
Well, Calgary's in a man-for-man defense here, but Reggie Lewis comes from the outside and just gets enough onto Wilkinson, who had his receiver down the center. Excellent defensive play.
Wilkinson hasn't played in almost a month, so I guess he could be a little bit rusty on that first sequence.
Could very well be, John. He was hurt in a game here at Commonwealth Stadium a month ago, as you mentioned, and did not play in the final few weeks of the season. His third down punt is returned by Forzani out to the 27-yard line. He was stopped by Pete Lavorato. A 47-yard kick, a 7-yard run back. The Eskimos felt that perhaps they might have something of an edge in the kicking game with Hank Olisic and Dave Cutler going against Mike McTagg and J.T. Hay. And on the first exchange of punts, the Eskimos pick up almost 20 yards. A 3-4 defensive set for Edmonton. Fennell, Este, and Boone up front. The linebackers, Towns, Kepley, Fennell, and Potter. The secondary, very tough. They have on the corners Holloman and Highbaugh. Jones and Butler are the halfbacks, and Pete Lavorato is the safety. A pile up in the middle of the line as everybody was converging upon the ball carrier. Some repair work being done at the Calgary Stampeder bench, and it's Ken Dombrowski getting some help on his shoulder pads. A pickup of about 3. It will be 2nd and 7. Don Barker, the referee. Bill Dell is the umpire. Vern Heath, the head linesman. Jim Hope Ross, the line judge. Ken Lazaruk is the back judge. Pass over the middle for a first down, or very close to it. Dan Kepley was there to make the tackle on Willie Armstead. Armstead, the slot back, who has enjoyed a most productive year. Coming into the game, on the season, he had hauled in 48 passes for 8 touchdowns. He's been the target twice for Johnson.
Well, he's been their hottest receiver at the last part of the season, and Johnson right now is getting excellent pass protection. He's not running full out. He's going half speed, just a little hook pattern. Coming back inside, Dan Kepley is in the area. But this is the thing that Calgary's got to do to beat this Edmonton team. Take what they're giving him, Don.
Sorry, Terry. It is a first down. There's the drop play with Sykes. And, oh, that defense reached new heights of rancor there as Carl Cronell unloaded with help from Dan Kepley.
Don, you would think with the 3-man line it would be good and easy to run against them, but not against this Edmonton team with Kepley and Cronell in the middle. They just close up all possible gaps on the inside, and there's really not that much room to run.
In that 3-man line, they move Ron Este into what is called the nose guard position, with Dave Fennell moving outside to a defensive end slot, more or less, with David Boone on the other side. On 2nd and 8, Johnson trying to go to Willie Burton. He got away from the first attempted tackle, but could not escape from Dave Fennell. So with 10:06 remaining in the first quarter, let's pause for this timeout. $42,778 is capacity at Commonwealth Stadium, and every seat is occupied for this Western final. I'm sure there are another 1,000 or so standing. Another short kick by McTagg, taken by Butler. He's caught immediately by Armstead. And then Armstead had help from several others in driving Butler back. A 27-yard kick and a 1-yard return. John, we've got some exciting events coming up in the CBC network. Tell us about it.
Well, of course, it's Grey Cup weekend next weekend, and next Saturday, Sports Weekend brings you Grey Cup replay, highlights of last year's Eskimo victory over the Alouettes, plus a look at what's happening 1979 Grey Cup week in Montreal. So join Ernie Afghaniz for Sports Weekend next Saturday on CBC television.
Yes, you'll see all the excitement of the climax to the Canadian Football League season right here on the CBC network. Germany, with his first carry, strikes the 50-yard line, and then he was struck by Ken Dombrowski. Germany, the leading rusher in the Western Football Conference on the season. You see the statistics he was able to compile.
He's had pretty good success against the Stampeders in 3 meetings this season. Jim Germany, something like very close to 300 yards in 3 games.
Indeed he has, and he'll probably get a lot of work this afternoon as well, John, although the Eskimos seem to prefer the pass as the major weapon in their attack. The penalty flag is down. There it is to Germany, the screen pass, and he was stopped. However, I believe Lyle Wozniacki jumped the gun and advanced into the Edmonton backfield prior to the snap. There's the signal from referee Don Barker. I'm quite sure that the Eskimos will move the ball 5 yards further downfield.
We have a defensive offside, Calgary number 76. He's second down repeated.
That will make it second down and about 3.
Brian Keller here, you can see Terry Irvin take a good shot at him. He's had good success against Terry during the regular season. And Terry right now is telling him, listen, this is playoff time, this is championship time, you better have your chin strap buckled up.
Down. They try to go straight ahead, and this Calgary defense is fired up and ready. Ed McElhaney was there to meet Angelo Santucci. Santucci was something of a doubtful starter. He came down with a flu bug, and there was concern even minutes before the ball game whether or not he would be able to play. As a result, Don Warrington was activated. They are stopped short of a first down, and with Hank Olisic entering the ball game, that means that the Eskimos will be punting.
Calgary's been excellent against the run the last half of the season. And here, we're going to take a look at it here. Connor Hodgson, the receivers, see, the thing that Calgary's known for is their one-on-one, man-for-man defense. So they're going to try to punish the receivers early in the game to show them who's got them. This is my territory out here, and if you're going to come in here, you better be ready for the...
A good one. Sparks goes back to his own goal line, and he's doing a pretty fair job of running it back. Pete Laverato is the man who finally makes the tackle in the vicinity of the 14-yard line. So, with a scoreless first quarter, we have 7:46 remaining. Let's pause for this message.
Check out home video recorders, the new Sony Betamax or the competition. They're similar. Betamax records up to 4.5 hours, the competition 4. Both can be set to record several days in advance, but there's one big difference: Betascan. In fast forward and reverse, you see the picture as it goes. Makes finding something much easier. No Betascan here, but it's not a bad system, and Sony should know. Before Sony invented Betamax, Sony invented the other system.
Jack Cota, the head coach of the Calgary Stampeders. He indicated prior to the game that while he enjoyed having the game played under more ideal conditions than existed a year ago, the weather, he said, was not a problem. We're not here on a vacation. Well, the running game is going to be tough this afternoon. It's going to be hard, I think, to really get things going. James Sykes ran into David Boone and picked up just a couple of yards.
Don, we're getting fierce line play on both sides. And whoever's going to control that offensive line of scrimmage is going to win this football game today. There's no doubt that Calgary's a fired-up football team, a more mature team, and they feel that they can knock off the perennial Grey Cup champion and champions out west.
Johnson on second down, sideline pattern, good catch by Calvin Kirk, who came back to the football in front of the defender Larry Highbaugh, with Ed Jones again blitzing from the left side. And Johnson was hit again just as he threw.
Well, it's a similar play as earlier. He rolled to the right side, picked out the one receiver, on one-man pattern, Ed Jones came and blitzed from the backside because really his receiver blocked up, so therefore he's got to come. That's his responsibility.
Ed McElhaney, and what a year he had. 26 quarterback sacks for the Stampeders. It's 1st and 10, Calgary. Johnson, the out pattern, and Kirk slipped at the sidelines. He tried to get back on his feet, and the ball bounced off his shoulder. He had slipped as he was making his cut on the sidelines, and at the Edmonton bench there seems to be some concern with the health of Jim Germany. Germany last year in the Western Final played a very solid game for the Eskimos despite the fact he had badly bruised ribs. And he has taken some early punishment in this game. Over the middle for a first down. Bob Vickers with Ed Jones again in to make the tackle.
Ken Johnson showing tremendous poise here. We got an all-out rush. We got a 7-man blitz. He knows his receiver's coming across. The middle of the area of the zone has been vacated, and it's a one-on-one with Ed Jones, and he places it in front of the receiver. Excellent reception.
First down for the Stampeders. The ball is at the 37. They've been in a deep hole throughout most of this opening quarter. They started this drive from their own 14-yard line. Strikes the ball carrier. He spins off a couple of people, but managed just a yard before being finished off by Dale Potter. Well, the pregame consensus, Terry, was that both sides would be putting the ball in the air. It doesn't appear as though the ground game is going to be very successful either way this afternoon.
Especially with the type of line play. Calgary's doing what normally Edmonton does, chisel away. They're doing it successfully right now.
Johnson going deep. He's got Armstead open. He fumbled the football. Lavarado has recovered, and Lavarado is hauled down at the 1-yard line. Willie Armstead fumbled the football when he was tackled, and Lavarado recovered.
Oh, it was time to go up on top. They were getting man-for-man on the inside. Halfback on Willie Armstead. He's got too much speed. Excellent pass protection. Drops the ball on top. But you watch, Greg Butler just strips the football. Lavarado down there has a safety free on that particular man-for-man defense. Right there, Johnny on the spot. A big turnover. Here's another shot at it. Willie knows he's got his man beat cleanly. An excellent receiver catches it over the shoulder. But Greg Butler shows the speed to come back and just does the only thing possible, strips him of the football. Super defensive play all the way around and an excellent reception.
Now we have the Eskimos backed up to their own 1-yard line. 1st and 10, 4:19, the time remaining in this opening quarter. Germany is going nowhere. He picked up a yard at best. Willie Armstead with a big reception, and he had the ball stripped away from him when it appeared as though he might just be going in for the touchdown. And Pete Lavarado was the man who alertly scooped up that ball and prevented a possible major score by the Stampeders.
The injury to Jim Germany, not believed serious. Jim Adams, the trainer, says he took a shot in the back, but he's okay and should be ready to go the rest of the day.
Germany were to move out of the lineup, the Eskimos would be in trouble. They'd be short of running backs. The attempted pass for Stu Lang incomplete, and it will be 3rd and 9. John Palazetti, the outside linebacker, was pressuring veteran quarterback Tom Wilkinson. Wilkinson, throughout most of the season, has been the Eskimos' starting quarterback, and particularly here at Commonwealth Stadium, he's always staked the club to a big early lead, and Warren Moon has come up in a mop-up capacity, and what a job he has done as a backup.
Well, Calgary's defense has not surprised Edmonton right now. They're coming with a good rush. They've come very strong with their front four. They're getting man-for-man protection. The receivers are slipping right now. They don't look like they're too fluid, and they could be a little bit nervous. They got everything to lose this team right now, but they'll warm up after.
Good kick by Alisic from the end zone to Forzani at his own 50. The ball is fumbled. Who's recovered? Calgary managed to scoop it up. The Calgary Stampeders retain possession, and they will scrimmage 1st and 10 from their own 42 when we return.
Planet Earth stretches 25,000 miles at its midsection. Giant oceans separate vast land masses. Rugged mountain barriers reach beyond the clouds. Yet here is a world of 4 billion people who move from city to city faster than the wind. Boeing is pleased to play a role in making this world just a little smaller.
The world feels a whole lot better when the people of the world all get together. The world feels a whole lot better when we all get together. Look!
It isn't such a big world.
See!
All the places and the faces.
Feel!
All the loving and the laughter.
Bring us together and you'll see the world feels a whole lot better when the people of the world all get together.
Boeing jetliners have done more to jet the world together than anything ever made by man.
The world feels a whole lot better when we all get together.
Well, many of the fans in attendance this afternoon at Commonwealth Stadium have gone to a lot of work with the signs that they have brought out to Commonwealth Stadium. And there seem to be almost as many banners in support of the Stampeders as there are those favoring the Eskimos. It's 1st and 10 Calgary from the 42 up the Eskimos, and it's Willie Burton picking up about 6 or maybe even 7 yards. Dale Potter was there to make the tackle, and obviously you know where that man's affections lie. This is something Jack Gode indicated that the Stampeders would try to do, would be establish the running game with Willie Burton.
Well, if they go with the short passing game, Lloyd Fairbanks is a very, how would you put it? He can fool that defensive end. You never know if it's going to be a run or a pass. They felt that the way to control David Boone is have him guessing, and Lloyd Fairbanks has David Boone guessing right now.
Well, Fairbanks does have that deceptive blocking technique. However, on that particular play, he didn't fool anybody, and Willie Burton is stopped short of the 1st down. Dale Potter came in to help out. Yes, this is something that the Eskimos were saying, particularly Dave Fennell and David Boone, in alluding to the blocking style of Fairbanks, that it's very deceptive. You're never sure whether he's setting up for a run or a pass the way he sets up to block.
Well, therefore you have to go back to the basics. Stay low, keep equilibrium, and just come through the man. And if it is the pass, then you come up on top after. But play the run first.
Well, the Stampeders are gambling on 3rd down, and why not? From the 34. I don't think they made it. Sykes is stopped. They showed a little different offensive set that time with 3 backs. And James Sykes is stopped short of the 1st down.
Well, they send the lead back inside, but don't forget you're coming up against Kepley and Carl Cornell, 2 of your best middle linebackers in football, and they just stack it right up. They've got all of the gaps blocked, and you're going to have to get super pass run blocking on the line of scrimmage, and there's just not enough people to block everybody. That's a great tackle by Dan Kepley. Here's another look at it. He's reading, he sees the back, that's his key, and he comes right underneath, makes a great hit.
For the Eskimos, 1st down, the ball is at the 32, over the middle to Waddell Smith, incomplete. Reggie Lewis was again pressuring quarterback Tom Wilkinson. The throw to Waddell Smith was just a little high. And so far, this has not been a pleasant afternoon for Wilkinson. He has been pressured constantly every time he's dropped back to throw.
He's lost a little timing, too, hasn't he, Terry?
Well, it looks like he's a little bit rusty, or I think it's the defensive defenders, John, are playing the receivers real tight. They've got to go back to the 5-6 yard pattern right now to get some rhythm.
On 2nd and 10, a passing situation again. Wilkinson looking, and it's incomplete. Waddell Smith on the sidelines slipped and fell. However, Wilkinson had badly overthrown Waddell Smith at any rate, and the Eskimos will again be forced to kick it away. 1:12 is the time remaining in the opening quarter. This is a scoreless football game. While we have an opportunity, I'd like to extend congratulations to the Montreal Alouettes on their Eastern Conference victory yesterday. To head coach Joe Scannella, assistants Gene Gaines, Joe Galat, Lamar Leachman, Jim Erkenbeck, and Nick Niccolo, general manager Bob Geary, and club president Sam Berger. The Alouettes' opponents in the Grey Cup next Sunday at Olympic Stadium will be determined in about an hour and a half. Tom Forzani takes that third down punt out of bounds at about his own 33-yard line. And while we're extending congratulations, John Huard and the Acadia Axemen also deserve a salute for their College Bowl triumph yesterday afternoon.
And it was an exciting game, too, an all-out effort and great passing and running, and just tremendous congratulations to all the players on the team.
1st and 10 for the Stampeders. They are at their own 33. 44 seconds is the time left in this scoreless opening quarter. Sideline pattern intended for Forzani, incomplete. He protests that he's got the ball, but the official rules he was out of bounds just in front of Joe Holloman. It's a 2nd and 10 situation now as we watch the pattern run by Forzani.
Forzani's running an out pattern, which is the pattern you should be running against a man-for-man and against a defensive player like Joe Holloman, who's giving you 10, 12 yards. And they're coming with an all-out rush, so the place to go is to the outside. They just missed it that time.
2nd and 10. Swing pass to Sykes. He's caught immediately and hauled down by Larry Highbaugh. A gain of just 2 yards. Sykes is not at all pleased. Larry Highbaugh, with the great speed from his cornerback position, moved up, and he corralled Sykes after a gain of just 2. That's something Highbaugh will do. He will play off you throughout the course of the game, and then the moment you think that ball is going to be there, he sneaks up and picks it up.
Well, that time they inverted. They don't do that too often, Don. The wide receiver ran off the corner, but the corner froze, and the halfback inside picked him up, and he was able to make the tackle.
Edmonton had some people coming that time. McTagg got the kick away. Butler tries to bring it back, but there are penalty flags. That will probably result in a no-yards infraction against the Stampeders. A 31-yard kick and a 5-yard return. Time has expired on the scoreboard clock. However, because of the penalty on the final play of this quarter, they will run one more play.
We have Calgary, number 8, no yard. 15-yard penalty and one additional play.
Rob Koshel was the man who had encroached upon that 5-yard restraining area. That moves the ball to the 51 of the Stampeders, and it will be 1st and 10 for Edmonton. Dave Fennell nominated as the Western candidate for the Shenley Award as the Outstanding Canadian. He was the winner of the Outstanding Defensive Lineman honor a year ago. Play of the first quarter. A mix-up in the backfield. Santucci collided with the quarterback Wilkinson. He still managed to pick up about 4 or 5 yards, but that's the end of the first quarter. It's Calgary nothing and Edmonton nothing. We'll return right after this.
Introducing the amazing automatic Nikon EM, the camera that warns you when your exposure's not right. The EM actually lets out a gentle beep beep. That beep beep tells you to make a simple adjustment for a great picture every time.
The fantastic Nikon EM, the camera that goes beep beep.
You mean beep beep?
That's what I said.
The Mach 2 by Arrow, a tapered shirt that fits you perfectly. Because only the Mach 2 is tailored to the contours of your body, with a dart here and here, has sleeves the length you choose, and if you wish, a patented marked collar, the only collar shaped to fit the cone of your neck. That's the Mach 2, the perfect tapered shirt. Fittingly made only by Arrow.
Pour your friends something extra. John Labatt's Extra Stock. A premium quality brew you can be proud to serve because it's mellow to the taste and smooth going down. John Labatt's Extra Stock. something extra for our friends from Labatt's.
John Heldon, the outstanding defensive player in the CFL Western Conference in 1979, is with us down here on the sidelines. John, you have to be impressed with the defensive display out there so far.
They've been going fantastic, and I think that it's not going to be a game like we saw down east yesterday. These offenses are going to get on track pretty quick.
The defenses are awfully tough right now.
They sure are. That big play down there on the goal line nearby showed tough defense, I thought.
Thanks, John.
The pass was intended for Tommy Scott, and Merv Walker was the man who defended against the Edmonton slotback. There's also a penalty flag on the play, the infraction against the Edmonton Eskimos. And I think it will be declined by the Stampeders. Merv Walker, who was acquired by the Stampeders in the John Heldon trade.
We have an offensive holding. Edmonton number 63 is in decline. Third.
With the incomplete pass, the holding infraction charged against Hector Potier of the Eskimos is declined, and Edmonton will kick it away. Hank Olisic stands back at his own 48-yard line. He'll be kicking into the breeze now. Mike McTagg has some problems going into the wind. Let's see how Olisic handles it. He gets away, an excellent kick. Starting out from the end zone, Robert Stark fights his way out to about the 9-yard line. There's a penalty flag on the play. We'll wait for that one, but right now, let's join John Wells.
Something special at halftime today, the CFL coaches all-star teams. And today we'll look at part 2, the offensive teams from both East and West, as chosen by the 9 CFL coaches, as well first half highlights with Terry Edelman.
All right, John, well, that infraction against the Stampeders, illustrated there by Don Barker, blocking from the rear on the punt return, and the Stampeders are in a hole again. They are back at their own 1-yard line. Warren Moon led the country in touchdown passes this year with 20, an amazing statistic when you consider that he was used mainly in a backup capacity. Johnson going to the sidelines to Calvin Kirk. He was covered by Larry Highbaugh. A dangerous type of pass. Had Highbaugh been able to step in front of it, he was gone for 6.
Well, Larry used his great speed here, though, and his quickness. He was playing off a good 9 yards. Edmonton were coming with an all-out blitz. Johnson was doing, he's taking a leaf right out of the Edmonton Eskimos playbook. He's going to the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-yard pattern. Well, Edmonton has not. They've gone to the Calgary type of passing game that they had done in the early part of this regular season. And I think Edmonton's got to change. Calgary keeps doing the same thing they're doing right now.
Big play here for the Stampeders. 2nd and 10. Johnson is going deep for Armstead. He can't hang on. It was deflected. Butler was the man who deflected that ball. He just got a hand on it to knock it away. Greg Butler with a big play, and Warren Moon loosening up at the Edmonton bench, an indication perhaps that this Washington State Rose Bowl hero of 2 years ago will replace Tom Wilkinson.
Armstead beat Butler on a post pattern earlier in the game. This time he runs the flag, and Greg is right there and make an excellent, super defensive play.
Good kick by McTagg from the end zone. Taken at the 50 and down to the 44-yard line goes Greg Butler. Well, they have some heaters at the benches, but they really aren't required on a very fine afternoon as Warren Moon comes in to direct the Eskimo attack. That was a 48-yard kick by Mike McTighe, a 5-yard return by Greg Butler. It's 1st and 10 for the Eskimos. They are at the 44 of Calgary. Warren Moon giving that Edmonton offense just a little different look, running it out of bounds at the 36-yard line. This is something that head coach Hugh Campbell likes to do, just change things, giving them a little different look.
Well, the defensive backs are doing a great job on the receivers. But one thing that Moore didn't see, he didn't see Brian Kelly. Ran it out and up on him, He fell down. Ray Odoms fell down, but he couldn't get to him because the linebacker got in his face. But getting back to him, it's an added dimension because Wilkie does not have the speed, Don, of Warren Moon.
Second and about 3. Moon going over the middle, incomplete.
Full credit to that defensive backfield. They've shut those receivers down totally right now. They're in a man-for-man safety free. Good blitz, good front forward play. Quarterback cannot find a receiver open because those defensive backs are right on top of him.
David Cutler enters the ball game. A familiar pattern as he trots onto the field at the 35-yard line. David will tell you that he's not at all superstitious, but have you ever seen him enter the game anywhere but at the 35-yard line?
I don't believe a thing he said.
Wilkinson comes into hold. Cutler's field goal attempt will come from 43 yards away, certainly well within his range. His longest of the year was from 56 yards out, but he has been somewhat inconsistent late in the season. There's his kick, and it is going to sail wide. Forzani racing into the end zone will concede, but there is a penalty flag down. I think the Edmonton Eskimos may have been trapped in not providing sufficient yardage for Tom Forzani. It appeared as though Hector Potier was too close to the intended receiver in the end zone. No yards against the Eskimos, and the Edmonton Eskimos so far in this ball game have not completed a pass or made a first down.
No yards. Edmonton number 23.
Don, that statistic there just emanates the type of defense that we're seeing this afternoon. Calgary are playing the best football that I have ever seen them play right now.
Well, perhaps one of the reasons that Coach Hugh Campbell made the change is that statistic there. Wilkinson failing to click on a single pass attempt. Stampeders have had the offense that has been in evidence so far in the game. There's Johnson going down under the pressure of Tom Towns. He got back to the line of scrimmage. It will be 2nd and 10.
From the end zone, we can see they're in a 3-man line, but they're starting to bring their people from the outside. David Boone gets good penetration, and here comes Tom Towns from the backside. That's where they're blitzing. They're blitzing that backside man, Don, whether it's the linebacker or the halfback. They feel that there's an open seam in there, and every time they do see it, they're going to shoot a man.
Many people feel that Tom Towns might be a candidate for all-star recognition this year. He's had an outstanding season at that outside linebacking position. And what strength the Eskimos have in the middle with number 39, Carl Grinnell, alongside Dan Kepler. Johnson lost about 1.5 yards in that last attempt. The pass over the middle, a penalty flag as Tommy Scott was bumped by Joe Holloman, or I should say Tom Forzani was bumped by Holloman, and that will be an automatic first down for the Stampeders.
Defensive pass interference. Edmonton number 29. First down.
A first down for the Stampeders as the ball is moved out to the 28. Look at that pass play again.
Well, I'm not going to judge that. It looks like Joe Holloman just put his hand there and made an excellent defensive play. I'm not the referee. I know we got a second chance to look at it up here, but it was a good defensive play by Joe Holloman.
Hugh Campbell has to be concerned with his team's inability to move the football so far in this game. Johnson to the sidelines, intended for Kirk, incomplete. It will be 2nd and 10, Calgary. They're at their own 28. 10:52 is the time left to play in this first half. No score in this ball game. Quite a contrast to the 3 regular season games. Calgary lost here in Commonwealth Stadium 44-9, 27-1, but knocked off the Eskimos. As a matter of fact, handed Edmonton its first loss of the year, 26-19 at McMahon Stadium.
They've got excellent personnel. It was just a matter of time to find out where the weakness in that Edmonton defense was. But the thing that they've just done right now, they started to invert, so the backs on the outside don't have the same running room or passing protection.
Johnson going deep for Willie Armstead. It's picked off. Intercepted by Larry Highbaugh. They rule that he was down back at the 45-yard line.
That's what I was just talking about. Instead of going in for a man-to-man running up and down the field, they inverted. They took the halfback into the flat and send the faster man to the outside. So here we take a look at it. Johnson puts it on top, but the quickness of a Larry Highball, he's there. He's got his eye on the football all the way, picks up excellent interception.
Highball led the Eskimos in thefts during regular season play with 10 of them. He's got 1 this afternoon as we look at Willie Armstead running the pattern. Now we swing back to the live action. 1st and 10 for the Eskimos from their own 45. Their offense has been anemic so far. And they're not going to gain anything on this attempt. Ed McElhaney made the penetration to stop Jim Germany. A loss of about 1. It will be 2nd and 11. Ken Johnson had a big day against the BC Lions a week ago. Larry Highbaugh has kept the Eskimos in the ball game with some sparkling defensive work this afternoon. 9:41 is the time remaining in this scoreless half. Let's pause for this timeout.
How does it feel when you got it? Do you reveal that you got it?
Some of our competitors got the message. They're catching on, but will they ever catch up to Le Mans?
Hey, Pontiac! You got it!
Family-size Le Mans, built for a changing world, with trim design and new standard V6 power. Want proven mid-size flair in the 80s? You know who's got it, don't you?
Nobody's got it like Pontiac.
You got it, Pontiac.
Only TV Records brings you the best of country music.
Johnny Ross,
the hottest hits, the biggest stars like the Charlie Daniels Band, Charlie McClain's When Love Ain't Right, and Johnny Cash's Ghost Riders. Oh. Ronnie McDowell's World's Most Perfect Woman, Johnny Paycheck, and George Jones. Charlie Rich's Spanish Eyes, Marty Robbins' All-Around Cowboy, and starring Willie Nelson and Leon Russell. The best of country music, the hottest hits, the biggest stars on LP 8-track or cassette. In the stores now. Get it.
Well, Jack Goda has to be pleased with the way his troops have performed defensively so far. They've completely shut down the Eskimos. The pass intended for Kelly. A good job of covering by Ray Odom. Reggie Lewis was in pressuring Warren Moon. He may have hurried the throw somewhat.
John Ray Holmes is good at defensive back there is in the country. Former basketball player. You notice he didn't jump on the Brian Kelly fake. He just stayed with his man, kept him abreast, kept him to the outside. That's what's called good defensive backfield play.
Well, the Stampeders are receiving encouragement from the stands and from the sky. Tom Forzani with the 3rd down punt, and he is brought down at the 37-yard line by Emilio Frayetta. Well, this has been a tough defensive football game. Most people really anticipated such a solid defensive display both ways.
No, and believe me, the way Calgary's playing their man-for-man defense, I think that the Eskimos are now going to have to start running some crossing patterns, because the moment that defensive backs of Calgary jump on you and they're confident they can stop you, they're not going to get away from it. They're going to play you real tough.
1st and 10, Calgary from the 37. Ooh, no room inside for Willie Burden. Dave Fennell and David Boone, along with Ron Este, backed by Carl Crenell and Dan Kepley, converged at the spot that Willie Burden was attempting to negotiate. McTagg has replaced Calvin Kirk as a wide receiver for the Stampeders. 2nd and 10, Calgary. Good protection over the middle, intended for McTagg, incomplete. Dan Kepley was the man who partially deflected that pass. Kepley has the amazing speed to drop back. He can get back very, very quickly for a linebacker.
Oh, just one of the many qualities he does have. And one thing they're doing now, again, the Eskimos changed up a little bit. They came only with the front 4, dropped their people off. The corners aren't running out of there now. They're holding at 10, 12 yards. They say, okay, let's form a blanket across the field and let our defensive line get to the quarterback.
tag on third down. An end-over-end kick. It bounces away from Butler. It's taken by Frietti. He fumbled and was fortunate to recover the ball back at his own 18-yard line as Bernie Morrison was zeroing in on him. That was a 52-yard kick. No opportunity for a run back. John?
Grey Cup Day 79 begins next Sunday morning on CBC television. Pre-game countdown live from Olympic Stadium. Join host Tom McKee for Grey Cup Day 79 next Sunday here on CBC television.
Well, I'm sure the Montreal Alouettes are looking in this afternoon, anxiously awaiting the verdict as to which team will supply the Grey Cup opposition. The Eskimos, with Tom Scott making the catch, are trying to make it for a third consecutive year, and it's a first down, the initial first down for the Eskimos at their own 33. 7:40 is the time remaining in a scoreless first half. We'll be back right after this.
A few years ago, this fish cannery near Bella Bella on Queen Charlotte Sound was in danger of closing.
Well, it meant jobs for 100 people, so a group of us decided to form a cooperative and buy it.
Thanks to men like Neil Arnett of the Royal Bank, the Central Native Co-op became a reality, and now a further expansion is successfully underway. The Royal Bank believes in cooperatives and in cooperation. Royal Bank, when you succeed, we succeed.
Just before we left, you saw some repair work being done to the right leg of Dan Kepley of the Edmonton bench. Similar happening at the Calgary bench, with work being done on running back James Sykes. 1st and 10 for the Eskimos. They are at their own 33. Germany, the ball carrier, he's going nowhere. He picked up perhaps a yard. Lyle Wozniacki was the man who made the tackle for the Stampeders. Stampeder front four, Wozniacki and Louis the ends. Dombrowski and McElhaney are the tackles. The leading scorer this year, Bernie Ruoff, is standing by with John Wells.
Bernie, you suggested you were a little surprised we haven't seen any scoring yet.
Well, I am. You know, you have two explosive offenses out here, and neither one's been able to put any points on the board. I expected Edmonton to put about a minimum of 7 to 10 points with the win, and then, you know, for Calgary to try and come back when they're going the other way, but good play. You know, and I think Calgary gave up one good chance, really good chance, but it was a hell of a play on Butler's part. But you're seeing what I think is good defensive game, but I think you're going to see the offenses open up a lot more in the second half.
We're waiting for it. Thanks, Bernie.
Well, Bernie, I think a lot of people are waiting for the offenses to open up, but when you get defensive football such as we just witnessed from Merv Walker, it's very tough to ignite that offensive unit. What a play he made in knocking down that labeled pass for Tommy Scott.
Well, Scott beat him on a drag-in pattern earlier. Now I think Tommy Scott's the man that's going to have to break it open for the Edmonton Eskimos.
A towering punt by Alisic. It's fielded by Robert Sparks. There are penalty flags, and Pete Laverato did not provide sufficient yardage. I'm sure that will be the call against the Edmonton Eskimos. A 38-yard punt and a 6-yard run back by Sparks. Here's Don Barker, the referee.
They have no yards, Edmonton, number 7.
Our self-appointed number 1 spotter, Mo Simovich, nods in agreement as he had indicated that it was Pete Laverato who had moved inside that restraining zone, and indeed it was. 1st and 10 for the Stampeders. They are now at their own 53. Rosani goes wide to the right. Second man through gets the ball, but for Sykes there's no room. He picked up about 3 or maybe 4 yards before being met by Carl Cornell. 5:54 is the time remaining in this first half. This game in direct contrast to the 3 regular season meetings where both sides were able to score a lot of points.
I just think it's the best football game. So no score, the best football game we've seen all year right now. Good, solid, sound football.
Johnson's pass is deflected high. It's incomplete. Almost picked off by Joe Holloman. The ball was deflected at the line of scrimmage, and it went high in the air, and 3 or 4 players were trying to haul it in, and I think Cornell may have been the last man to touch it.
The receiver was wide open, but Carl Cornell was in there on the outside. He come on an outside stunt and just got a hand up to deflect the football.
Should be a jump ball.
John, you're absolutely right. McTagg stands back at his own 42.
Go, Mike!
Third down punt by the Stampeders will go to Butler. Butler at his own 12-yard line, and he gets out to about the 17, no further. Miles Gurrell there to make the tackle. A 42-yard kick, a 5-yard run back. And some folks almost need meal money. The distance they are away from the playing field in the upper reaches of Commonwealth Stadium, they're a long way back. We look at it from the end zone. It's 1st and 10 for the Eskimos. Warren Moon replacing Tom Wilkinson in the second quarter. Santucci runs it out to the 24. A pickup of 5. Ollie Bakken was there to make the tackle. The Eskimo receivers have been stymied. Only 1 reception has been made so far in the ball game by that very talented group of pass catchers, and that one was by Tommy Scott.
Edmonton's always been able to run when the pass was working. When the pass didn't work, their running got shot down too, because they're not that fancy. They only have 1 or 2 running plays basically, and before they start throwing with any success, they're going to have to start throwing the football to their inside people.
Moon is going deep down the sideline for Waddell Smith. It's incomplete. And there's a little scrimmage going on now as Waddell Smith grabs Al Burleson. Terry Irvin was also there. Well, Smith would probably be protesting that he thought Burleson had come up with the ball.
Waddell Smith had a great season, and he's a fiery receiver. He wants that football anytime it's in his area. He thinks he can catch it. And listen, the Calgary defensive backs have been playing really tough. Terry Irvin pushed him out of bounds because he sees he's now going to turn upfield, and he's going to keep him in front of him. That was an excellent defensive play. That's good defensive football.
Lisick is back at his own 10-yard line. Ball bounces back towards the line of scrimmage. Lisick is racing up. The Stampeders pick up the football. And they were fortunate because Lisick was coming gung-ho in an effort to scoop up that short kick, a 23-yarder that had bounced back towards the line of scrimmage. And I think it was Tom Forzani who finally managed to pick it up. A holding infraction assessed against Calgary, no yards against the Eskimos. The penalties will be balanced at the point possession was gained, I'm quite sure. Referee Don Barker explaining the infraction now to the Eskimos, to Larry Heibaugh.
We had a Calgary holding. We had an Edmonton no yard. The penalties will be balanced at the point of possession. It'll be 1st down Calgary with a 5-yard penalty.
5-yard penalty against the Eskimos. Moving the ball to the 44. 1st and 10 for the Stampeders. .348 is the time remaining in this first half. It's a scoreless game. Calgary and Edmonton in the Western Final. Incomplete. Calvin Kirk was the intended receiver. That looked like a catchable ball.
It was. Excellent play action in the center with James Sykes. Ball was laid up there to be caught. Delivered the mail, and he should have caught the football. And you got to catch those footballs when you're playing against a team like Evans, you got to catch him in there. There's no doubt about it.
2nd and 10. Tom Forzani catches it. The most reliable catcher for the Stampeders all season, and Forzani makes the grab at the 25. Joe Holloman made the tackle, a big first down for Calgary.
Don, that ball was placed exactly in the right area because Joe Holloman had Tom Forzani covered. As you see right here, he started to come back inside. Johnson laid the ball to the outside. Tommy, an experienced receiver, actually a great receiver, made the reception.
We'll be back with Calgary's first down play. Penalty against the Eskimos. Moving the ball to the 44. 1st and 10 for the Stampeders. .348 is the time remaining in this first half. It's a scoreless game. Calgary and Edmonton in the Western Final. Incomplete. Calvin Kirk was the intended receiver. That looked like a catchable ball.
It was. Excellent play action in the center with James Sykes. Ball was laid up there to be caught. Delivered the mail, and he should have caught the football. And you got to catch those footballs when you're playing against a team like Evans. You got to catch them in there. There's no doubt about it.
2nd and 10. Tom Forzani catches it. The most reliable catcher for the Stampeders all season, and Forzani makes the grab at the 25. Joe Holloman made the tackle, a big first down for Calgary.
Don, that ball was placed exactly in the right area because Joe Holloman had Tom Forzani covered. As you see right here, he started to come back inside. Johnson laid the ball to the outside. Tommy, an experienced receiver, actually a great receiver, made the reception.
We'll be back with Calgary's first down play right after we pause for this message.
When do you know that you got it? When do you show that you got it? When you got it, you know it. When you got it, you show it. Hey, Pontiac, you got it. How does it feel when you got it? Do you reveal that you got it?
Pontiacs built for a changing world. From the value-packed economical Acadian to the commanding new look of the weight-reduced full-size Pontiacs. From the family-size Le Mans to the unique Trans Am with the guts and glory of available turbo V8. Or the all-new front-wheel drive Phoenix. You gotta know who's got it.
Hey, Pontiac, you got it. 'Cause nobody's got it like Pontiac's got it. Nobody's got it like Pontiac's got it. Nobody's got it like nobody's got it like Pontiac.
You got it, Pontiac.
3:06 is the time remaining in the first half, and this is the best opportunity that either side has had so far to break a scoreless tie. The Stampeders with a first down at the 25 of the Eskimos. Johnson has been very accurate so far. He overthrew Forzani on the sidelines, being covered by Joe Holloman. Tom Forzani on the season, 58 receptions. He scored 8 touchdowns. He started the year wearing those racquetball gloves. Regardless of the weather, he wears them. He applies stickum to them and feels a little more confident in his catching ability with those gloves.
Well, I don't think he needs very much help because he's got an excellent pair of hands and has just been a great receiver. Very important thing right now, Don, is that to be a champion, you got to score in these positions right now. You're coming up against one of the best defenses in the nation. You've got to score down here.
2nd and 10, a very big play right here for the Stampeders. Incomplete. They were looking for the big tight end. And it will be 3rd and 10. A field goal attempt upcoming by J.T. Hay.
Johnson's getting all the time he needs. He's getting anywhere between 4 and 6 seconds to throw the football. They've been moving between the 20s. When he gets down here, and this is now where they really got to come up with the big play. They've got the people. They've got the protection. If they don't get it now, it's going to start turning. The tide will turn on you.
J.T. Hay with his first field goal attempt. Penalty flag is down. The kick is up. It is good, but there are penalty flags. Let's wait and see. I think illegal procedure will be charged against Calgary.
Illegal procedure.
That's the infraction. So that will wipe out the field goal by J.T. Hay. It will move the Stampeders 5 yards back. It will be 3rd and 15 now from the 30. That means the field goal attempt by Hay will come from the 37-yard line. Johnson, the holder. He puts it through. And the Calgary Stampeders draw first blood in this Western final. A J.T. Hay field goal from 37 yards out gives Jack Goda's crew a 3-0 lead. J.T. Hay, who last year wore the uniform of the Ottawa Rough Riders, was acquired by the Stampeders this year as a replacement for Cyril McFall, who played out his option. He has reason to smile. A pressure situation. He made the first, then the penalty forced him to do it again, and he came through. Warren Moon being pursued now by Wozniacki. He runs away from him. He's got a first down. And that's what Terry was talking about earlier. Tom Wilkinson does not really have the running ability.
No, and it's the only thing they've got going for them right now, Don. The defense is playing excellent football. They've got everybody shut down. Tommy Scott slips as he's leaving this line of scrimmage. He was the primary receiver. Reggie Lewis is putting great pressure on. Warren Moon is sending Waddell Smith downfield. He's still covered, and Buddy still runs for that first down. Something that a Wilkie could not have done.
From the 45, 1st and 10 for the Eskimos. They trail by 3. Intended for Waddell Smith. He was covered by Ray Odoms. It's incomplete. It will be 2nd and 10.
I was down on the field prior to the game, and the field did not look slippery whatsoever. It's possible that the receivers have put on the short cleats instead of the long ones because a lot of them are falling down. And I don't think there's anything to do with the field.
All week, in anticipation of the weather perhaps changing, the field was covered by a tarpaulin. The weather conditions in Edmonton all week have been really amazing. As a matter of fact, one day I think the mercury nudged 19 degrees, and that is Celsius, friends, not Fahrenheit. That's usually the temperature on the Fahrenheit scale that we experience in Edmonton this time of year. Shot wide open, out of bounds, with a big first down at the 32.
I'm not going to say I told you so, but he's the man you got to go to. If they're in a man safety free, it's a quick, elusive receiver on a slower defensive halfback. Lay it to the outside. It was an excellent post pattern. Brought it to the back to the outside to the flag. Wide open.
2:21, the time remaining in the half. It's a first down for the Eskimos. They are at the 32 of the Stampeders. A capacity crowd coming to life with the first major offensive thrust of the Eskimos. Moon is going deep for Konahowski. Touchdown!
The Nat Bomber strikes again. Warren Moon. Don, you talked about the high percentage of touchdown passes he's throwing all year long. You watch. He rolls out here. He starts to get pressure. The receivers were covered like a blanket. But the one thing Konahowski did, he turned it upfield. Warren Moon laid it up on top. That's an excellent pass and run play. Here we got a good look at it here. John saw that there was no room to the outside, turned it up, lays the ball up on top. A beautiful touchdown. This is football.
John Konahowski, a star and the hero of the moment here at Commonwealth Stadium, the same stadium in which his wife, Diane Jones Konahowski, earned a gold medal as Commonwealth Games pentathlon champion 2 years ago. A point after by David Cutler gives the Eskimos a 7-3 lead.
Calgary's down on the 25-yard line. They've moved the ball all the way down the field. They come out with a field goal. You've got to score down there. 2 big plays, that's all it took. The championship team of caliber of an Edmonton Eskimo team come right back down the field and score 7 points.
Still hard to believe it took the Eskimos with a record number of points during the regular season that long to score in a football game. That secondary of Calgary just having a whale of a ball game.
John, I think more than a whale of a ball game. It's the best defensive secondary I can remember since the early 60 teams in Calgary when I was there.
Forzani takes the kickoff from the 10-yard line. He's tripped up at the 30. And with 2:08 remaining in the half, it will be 1st and 10 for the Stampeders at that point. A 57-yard kick and a 22-yard return. Waddell Smith is the injured Eskimo player. Smith took a tremendous shot on that specialty team. There's also an injured Stampeder. John Konahowski with the touchdown that has put the Eskimos ahead 7-3. He and the man who fired the ball, Warren Moon, discussing the particular pattern and the play that resulted in the score. Forzani limping off to the Calgary bench. So far, Waddell Smith is still down.
Don, the special teams, I think, have been devastating this afternoon on both sides. Very little room to run back. People are down, they're in their lanes. Waddell Smith made a great effort.
Smith, of course, is the Western nominee for the Shenley Award as the country's most valuable player. He'll be going against David Green of the Alouettes.
That's going to be a pretty good battle, Don. Go ahead.
We're going to, John, we're going to take a look at here an excellent effort by Waddell Smith in getting to Forzani. Hit him right up in the knee high, and that's why Tom limped off. And the same thing with Waddell. Waddell is still down. It looked like he caught him in the base of the neck area.
I was just going to say the Shenley race between Waddell Smith and David Green is going to be a pretty good one this year, I would think. Waddell Smith over 1,200 yards in pass reception, some 13 touchdowns. And David Green of the Alouettes, of course, having such a sensational season along the ground with over 1,600 yards.
John, you know, when you talked earlier about the scoring or the lack of it so far, the statistic on the year shows just how devastating the Eskimos were here at Commonwealth Stadium, scoring 39 points and yielding just 10. Now that's an average through their 8 home games.
Well, the big weekend of the football season comes up next weekend. And, of course, Grey Cup Game 79 will be on CBC television next Sunday, November 25th. So join us all from the Grey Cup in Montreal. The Alouettes will be there. We'll find out later this afternoon who they're going to meet.
Waddell Smith being assisted to the Edmonton bench. He took quite a blow as he came in to make the tackle on the kickoff return man, Tom Forzani. Here you see it again.
I think we saw a good shot there, how his neck got twisted. He hit him actually with his head and it, at the base of Forzani's knee, and it twisted his neck back.
So with 1:58 remaining in the first half, Edmonton leading 7-3. It's 1st and 10 Calgary from their own 29. Over the middle, completed to the tight end, Bob Vickers at the 36.
Johnson pass complete to Vickers and heavily making tackle.
It'll be a gain of about 6 yards, make it 2nd and 4 for the Stampeders. 1:47 is the time left.
6-yard gain, 2nd and 4.
Halftime, the coach's all-star selection. Gary Evanson will also be along with his highlights of the first half of this game. Forzani, and the ball is knocked down on a good play by Joe Holloman.
Johnson pass complete for Forzani.
Zanny was open. Johnson may have been just a shade late in delivering it.
He was open, and Johnson looked like he just hesitated a split second. Enough time. Here, we're going to take a good look at it here. Tom makes himself a good target. Was delivered a little late. Joe Holloman had enough time to read it and come back on the play.
John Hopnagel started the season as the Stampeders' #1 man, but early in the year he relinquished that job to Ken Johnson. A penalty flag is down. Butler on the punt return fighting his way out to the 49-yard line, but there's a penalty flag back at the line of scrimmage. There's also an injured Calgary player. It's Calvin Kirk. A 36-yard kick, an 11-yard run back. I think the Eskimos will decline the penalty.
We have a legal procedure, Calgary. The left guard at the line of scrimmage. The penalty's declined. Edmonton will take possession first down.
Calvin Kirk started to walk off towards the Calgary Stampeder bench and then just suddenly collapsed.
I don't know. I can't tell what happened. It's possible that his knee just gave up on him, but these wide receivers are getting hurt on the special teams. There's tremendous hitting going on out there. And, you know, the wide receivers are normally not your most resilient type of guys in that type of hitting. Now, you know I've got to take a back seat when I say that now, but it's the truth.
1:22 is the time left in the half. It's 1st and 10 for the Eskimos. They are at the 49. Incomplete off the fingertips of Stu Lang. John, can you update us on the injury to Waddell Smith?
Don, he was knocked out on that special team assignment he was on a few moments ago. He's speaking, although not quite completely coherent right now. The doctors feel that he's going to be all right, although it's doubtful if he'll be back here in the first half. They'll likely, of course, we're just about out of time, but he'll likely be back in the second half, according to the doctors.
Trainer Jim Adams working on him, and work being done on Calvin Kirk.
He had an injury problem to an ankle before the game, Don, last week.
Second down, completed to Stu Lang for a first down at the 47. Now those inside receivers for the Eskimos in the latter stages of the second quarter are the prime targets, and they're getting the job done.
Well, Don, when they're playing that man for man, that's the area you got to hit. You got to go to your inside people. They're in a double slot. It's an all hook, a safe pattern. Same pattern he ran before, and he overthrew him. This time made a completion.
Back to the live action. 1st and 10. We're into the final minute of the half. Boom is looking for Tommy Scott. Scott had slipped and fallen. He was being covered by Robert Sparks. Terry Irvin was also over there. Interesting point you brought out earlier, Terry, about the field. And when we walked in the field prior to the game, it didn't seem to be that slippery, but many of the receivers are having difficulties as they make their cuts.
Well, normally, not this time of the year, the field might be soft on top, but because of the normal cold weather you get, it's hard underneath. So you don't want to go with the high cleats, because now your balance is off, your equilibrium's off, you're too high off the ground, so they go to the small cleats. I can guarantee that most of those receivers will change them at halftime.
Second and 10. Moon has got a receiver open on the sidelines. It's Stu Lang down to the 15, but they're ruling he was out of bounds. Back at the 34. There's also a penalty flag. Stu Lang was clotheslined by Terry Irvin.
Well, we're looking from our end zone camera. We talked about earlier, they're going to their inside people. Now, this time he went to the outside. They're in a man-for-man, but they tried to switch up. This is one thing that the Calgary defense will do. They'll play man-for-man 90% of the time, but when your receivers, two outside guys crisscross, they try to switch up. If he's not really on the spot, he's going to get beaten badly. And then Terry Irvin gets very aggressive downfield and picks up a penalty.
Lang had been out of bounds back at the point he made the reception, but the penalty moves the ball down to the 18 with 46 seconds remaining in the half. Edmonton, 1st and 10. Kelly! Touchdown! What a Burleson and Terry Irvin.
This is great defensive play. Great reception by an outstanding receiver. Rookie of the year in the West. You can't cover him any better, and you can't make a greater catch than that he does right there. Super concentration. He's coming downfield half speed. He starts to run a post pattern. Irvin's right there. Side plays at the ball. Burleson hits him. Holds on to the football for a super football play.
And suddenly a scoreless game going into the final 4 minutes has exploded with the Edmonton Eskimos moving in front 14-3 and the point after by Dave Cutler.
They've taken full advantage of the opportunities that they had. Calgary has not, even though Calgary dominated the first half. In 2 sequence of downs, Edmonton comes screaming back and ends up with 14 points. That's why they're champions. And that's the thing that Calgary has to do. It's not only between the 20s, you come up with the big play going inside that 20.
Ryan Kelly, just 5'9", 170 pounds, but in the eyes of the Eskimo admirers and the fans, he has certainly grown in stature with that last reception.
Just prior to the game, Kelly was honored by the Eskimo fans here in voting as the most valuable and popular player through this 79 season. A catch like that, I guess you can see why.
John, it reminds me of some catches a guy up in the booth used to make. I'm so excited with a catch like that because, I mean, that's just super football, John.
I didn't know you would watch me play junior football, Jerry.
I wasn't born when you played.
40 seconds remaining in the half. Here's the kickoff return by Robert Sparks, and was he decked at the 30.
Oh, Carl Cornell just came down and lowered the lumber on him. What a great addition Carl Cornell has been to the Edmonton Eskimos. Kepley Cornell in the inside. We don't have any running because of those 2 people in there, even though they're in a conventional 3-4 defense.
A 53-yard kickoff, an 18-yard return. The clock is running down the final seconds in this half. 1st and 10 for the Stampeders from the 30. Great catch! Mike McTagg went high and stretched out to haul in that ball at the 49. That's worth another look.
Well, he's done this all season for them. Every time Calvin Kirk went down, the young Canadian came in and makes, well, there's another super catch. He just extends himself to the fullest and comes down with the football.
1st and 10 for the Stampeders. The ball is at the 49. It's picked off by the Eskimos. Greg Butler makes the interception at the midfield stripe. So with 7 seconds remaining, the Eskimos take over at midfield. Butler was the man who stepped in front of that pass attempt.
Well, learn to prevent. They got everybody around them. Willie's got to come down with that football because there's a lot of people in the area, and the defensive backs are used to that tip drill. They see that ball tipped. They work on that every single day. The ball's in the air. You got a conversion on it, and they come up with a big interception.
That ball off the fingertips of Willie Armstead. There might be time for 2 plays because on the changeover, the clock does not start until the ball is snapped, but the Eskimos, with a 14-3 lead, appear quite content to go to the dressing room enjoying that 11-point cushion.
What a great plus for the Edmonton Eskimo team. A great quarterback like Wilkinson. Starts off, he's out of whack when he first starts the game. He's not in rhythm. Huey Campbell doesn't hesitate to send in Warren Moon. And what does he do? He just comes streaming back and gets 2 big touchdowns for them.
This will be the final play of the half, barring penalty. Moon simply drops to one knee, and at the end of 30 minutes in this Western final, the Edmonton Eskimos lead the Calgary Stampeders by a score of 14-3 on touchdown throws from Warren Moon, John Konahowski, and Brian Kelly. We'll be back with our halftime show right after this.
Hey, Dad, look. It's terrific.
Yeah, not bad. Say, do you have any of these made by Canadians? I'd like to compare them. Just to be sure. Let's face it, A lot of Canadian jobs depend on us giving Canadians a fair chance. So, we should do it. Shouldn't we?
Well, shouldn't we?
New Envirolite plastic finish, a breakthrough in coatings. Envirolite gives rugged protection to wood, metal, anything paintable, indoors or outdoors. In tests by an independent laboratory, Envirolite outperformed all these popular enamels. Envirolite dries up to 7 times harder. It holds its high gloss up to 5 times longer. And unlike these enamels, Envirolite even washes up with water. New Envirolite, in a class by itself.
Labatt's Party Case, with Canada's favorite ale and lager.
It's 50 and blue all at once. Sing, boom, Tarara. Bring out a case of the beer. Now's the time to have a party when the gang's all here.
We polled all 9 CFL coaches for the 2nd annual Coaches All-Star Teams. Vic Rapp in Vancouver, Jack Goda in Calgary, Hugh Campbell of the Eskimos, Ronnie Lancaster in Saskatchewan, and Ray Yock in Winnipeg. And their counterparts from Eastern Canada, John Payne in Hamilton, Forrest Gregg in Toronto, George Brancato in Ottawa, and Joe Scannella of Montreal. Today, the 1979 CFL Coaches Offensive All-Star Team. In the East to tie at center, Hamilton's Henry Waschuk and Montreal's Doug Smith. Number 50, Henry Waschuk of the Tiger Cats finished his 5th CFL season with a flair, as did the Tiger Cats. The offensive line received a great deal of credit for Hamilton's mid-season resurgence. And also at center, Montreal's number 53, Doug Smith. Smith was able to shake off the injury jinx in '79, and he did an outstanding job anchoring Montreal's offensive front 5. Hamilton's Larry Butler was the number 1 choice at guard. Ottawa's Val Belcher and Ray Watson of the Alouettes tied for the other spot. Tiger Cats number 68, Larry Butler, is no stranger to postseason recognition. He's been an Eastern Conference All-Star 3 straight years, and the coaches obviously agree with other selectors. Val Belcher, number 55 with Ottawa, makes the coaches team the first time out. A late cut from the NFL, he's a strong acquisition for the Ottawa Rough Riders along the offensive front line. Outside of a 1-year retirement in '76, number 52, Ray Watson, has been a fixture along the Montreal Alouettes line since '74. He's a 10-year CFL veteran and isn't showing any signs of slowing down. The tackles, Ottawa's Jim Coode headed the list, with Toronto's Nick Bastayan and Dan Yoakum tied. No surprise in another selection for Jim Coode, number 60 of Ottawa. Now in his 6th season with the Rough Riders, Coode is a perennial all-star choice on all teams since joining the Rough Riders in '74 from Michigan. The Argos' Nick Vestaya, number 65, joined the Double Blue after the '76 season from Hamilton as a free agent. The Tiger Cats have to wonder how he slipped away. He was an all-star in 1976. And number 67, Montreal, needs little introduction. Dan Yoakum won a Shenley in '76. Hasn't missed an Eastern Conference All-Star squad since '73. That's 6 straight years. At tight end, who else but Tony Gabriel? Now in his 8th season in the Canadian Football League, Gabriel is the coach's choice once again. And little wonder, he set a CFL consecutive game pass reception record and led the Ottawa receivers with 48 catches. The quarterback is Tom Clements, despite the fact that he started late with Hamilton in the 1979 season. Clements does get the credit for the Tiger Cats' return to the Eastern Conference playoff race. Over the entire year, Clements was number 1 in total yards. And the running backs, David Green of Montreal winning, Rollins and Metcalf tying for 2nd spots. David Green joined Montreal with 5 games left in 1978 and hasn't missed a stride since. This year, 1,678 yards, 11 touchdowns. And in Hamilton, the Tiger Cats couldn't be happier with their latest running threat, Ronnie Rollins, in his first season out of Washington, 814 yards. Although the Argos had their problems, Terry Metcalf turned in his best performance, rushing for 691 yards. He was also the Argos' top receiver with another 568. At slot back, Toronto's M.L. Harris. He was another free agent acquisition from Hamilton. And when he arrived in Toronto in 1977, at 6'5", 244 pounds, he was a welcome addition. He's a giant among backfielders. The wide receivers, Montreal's Bob Gaddis and Ottawa's Martin Cox. Gaddis was the Alouettes' leading receiver last year, and again in '79, when he collected 621 yards on 47 receptions, an Eastern Conference All-Star last year as well. And the Rough Riders' Martin Cox made a big impression and a major contribution, despite a late start. Cox netted Ottawa's offense 541 yards and 7 touchdowns. Through all those starry performers, David Green of Montreal stood out as the coach's choice as the most valuable player. Little wonder, Green picked up more yardage along the ground than 3 other teams in total along the ground this season. And although he missed a league record, he had an outstanding year. It wasn't hard to figure Mike Nelms of Ottawa as the choice for the punt return specialist. The second-year cornerback from Baylor electrified fans with 2 returns for touchdowns and 1,155 yards in total. And the Rough Riders are blessed with another specialist in Ian Mofford. Mofford was voted by the coaches as the best kickoff return ace in Eastern Canada. He averaged 24.2 yards a return, 701 yards in total, and a memorable 99-yard run. That's how the CFL coaches viewed the Eastern Conference Offensive All-Star team. We'll be back in just a moment to take a look at the CFL coaches' Western squad.
How does it feel when you got it? Do you reveal that you got it?
Just one drive and you sense its character. Grand Prix stands apart.
Hey, Pontiac! You got it!
Grand Prix, built for a changing world. Personal, luxurious, provocative. Experience Grand Prix. For anything like the same money, is there any other choice?
Nobody's got it like Pontiac.
You got it, Pontiac.
Look who's into fitness now.
Sam Etcheverry.
Hey, Jackie Parker, old partner. Gee, it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
You look like you're in great condition.
Feeling good. Hey, Kenneth Clay.
Parker, Sam Etcheverry.
Hello, Ken.
How the heck are you? You're looking good. You guys got an old quarterbacks convention here?
Right.
Geez, you're thin as ever. How you doing it? How you keeping in shape?
A little bit of running.
A little bit of running.
Couldn't run before.
Once you've been in great condition, you'll want to stay in great condition. Canadians are into fitness now.
Bates is the coach's choice at center. And it shouldn't come as much of a surprise for the Lions veteran, number 52. He holds the club record for the most All-Canadian selections with 4. Wilson won the Shenley in '76 and was nominated 2 other seasons. The guard spots in the All-Western offense belong to Edmonton's Eric Upton and Calgary's Dave Kersinger. And for the Eskimos, number 57, the selection had to be a particular thrill. Upton graduated from Ottawa University. He missed his first crack at pro ball with the Riders and found a home in Edmonton 4 years ago. Number 69 for the Stampeders, Dave Kersinger, found his form in his second CFL season, and he helped out immensely to the Stampeders' running game all year long. The tackles, Mike Wilson of the Eskimos and Butch Norman from Winnipeg. Wilson, number 67 from Edmonton, really made a difference to the Eskimos up front. An All-Canadian tackle last year with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, he has a reputation of being one of the premier blockers in the entire CFL. For the Bombers, Butch Norman, who joined the squad partway through the '74 season and has started the tackle ever since, his best year was '76 with an All-Canadian selection. But 1979 was great again. The ends on the Western team, BC's Harry Holt and Calgary's Willie Armstead. The Lions' Harry Holt is a tremendously versatile performer. Last year, he played at fullback and receiver for BC, but this year, he's been used exclusively as a tight end. Holt has amazing speed for a big man. The Stampeders couldn't be more pleased with the play of Willie Armstead. He joined Calgary partway through the '76 season. And this year, Armstead accounted for 900 yards and 8 touchdowns for the Calgary Stampeders in '79. Edmonton veteran Tom Wilkinson was the coach's choice at quarterback. And there's little question that Wilkinson is the leader of the Eskimos on the field and off. His passing statistics, outside of a 58% completion average, were not the highest in the Western Conference, but Wilkie was the master at the controls. Here's the Western running backfield. Larry Key of the Lions, the Eskimos Jim Germany, and Willie Burden of the Stampeders. After a brilliant rookie season, Larry Key was even better in '79. He accounted for 9 BC touchdowns, 1,060 yards. The Eskimos' one-man running show, Jim Germany, won the Western Conference Rushing Derby and had his best season ever, too. In total, he claimed 1,324 yards from opposition defenses this year and showed tremendous abilities to break the big play yardage in crucial game situations for Edmonton. And the Stampeders' Willie Burden was back in his form this year, too. He rounded out the Western Conference backfield. According to the coaches, Burden had one of his better years. Managed a 4.5 yard per carry average. No one can dispute the choice of the coaches at flanker, Edmonton's Waddell Smith. Smith spent part of the season with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, but got back right after training camp for his third year with the Eskimos. He totaled 1,214 yards, 74 catches, and 13 for touchdowns. The coaches chose Tom Wilkinson as the West's most valuable player. And although Wilkinson shared the quarterbacking duties with Warren Moon much of this season, he still passed for 2,100 yards and 17 touchdowns. The rumors of Wilkinson's retirement in previous years have all but disappeared in Edmonton. The coaches felt that the Eskimos' Greg Butler was the top punt return specialist in the West. Although Butler's longest return was only 47 yards, he was extremely consistent through the '79 CFL season. Led the West in total return yardage, finishing with an 8.8 yard average. Leon Bright of the BC Lions was the coach's choice as the kickoff return specialist. Bright led the West in his specialty with an amazing 30.4 yard average and 820 yards in return, despite missing a couple of games with an ankle injury earlier in the season. And that's the way the coaches looked at the CFL's all-star teams, both East and West, offensively. We'll be back with halftime from the Western Conference football final at Commonwealth Stadium. Terry Evanson will have first half highlights.
It's portable. It's virtually indestructible. You can hammer on it, saw on it, sand on it, paint on it, drive a screw on it, cut a pipe on it, plane a door on it, fix a picture on it, or a wheelbarrow, or a chair, or a bicycle. You can even have your lunch on it. The incredible Black & Decker Workmate. You'll wonder how you ever worked without it.
Cutting out, I'm moving out of here. TGIF, what a week. Cutting out for some good times. Me and my fishing gear. Wonder if Harry's got that new reel yet. Gonna spend some time my way. Really glad I'm here. Me and the boys and our 50. Me and the boys and our beer. Ah, they're gonna be fishing that lake.
Canada's great tasting ale. What a beer to share.
Me and the boys and our 50. Me and the boys and our beer.
(14-3) is the halftime score in favor of the Eskimos over the Stampeders. Terry, for a long while in that first half, it looked as though it might just remain scoreless.
Oh, I tell you, what a great football game. Offense finally near the end. Super defense at the beginning. Calgary made a big mistake, though. They completed a number of short passes. Then they went on top to Willie Armstead, who made a great catch. But watch Greg Butler strip the football from him. That was typical of the defensive play all afternoon. And then Pete Laborato's great Johnny on the spot picks it up for a big turnover at the beginning of this ball game. Then we get down to Calgary had shut off all the receivers. They had to finally go to Tommy Scott. He was the man who was wide open. He ran a post corner pattern. Had Walker beat on the inside. Robert Sparks tried to recover up. This set up the touchdown to John Konahowski. Just a super catch, super play by Warren Moon. Runs a half-speed out pattern here. Merv Walker's got him covered easily. But he turns it upfield like any good receiver would do. Warren Moon, the man bomber, just places it up on top. John turns around, makes an excellent catch. Again, they go back to their inside people. Stu Lang this time, the play previous to this, ran a hook pattern for completion, runs an out because they inverted on the defense. But the important thing about this play was he steps out of bounds, Downfield now we get a penalty by Terry Irving that resulted in an additional 25-yard gain. This helped set up one of the finest pass and run plays of the season to Brian Kelly. There's nothing mysterious about his pass pattern. He comes down, excellent protection down there. Burleson hits him. Kelly comes up with a great catch, and just super football, Don.
You couldn't provide any better protection than that, and Kelly made the catch. It's 14-3 at the half. We'll be back with the second half right after this.
Ever since Alice took up running, I've been getting up every morning to pace her. Needless to say, the Malibu makes these early morning runs very easy on me. Sure, it's a lot of solid character, but between you and me, this is one beautiful running machine. And that's something I can appreciate. You had enough?
What the devil were you talking about back there?
Just talking about my Chevy.
Your Chevy? That's my Chevy. That's my Chevy.
At General Motors, we're committed to leadership in fuel efficiency.
I want you to want me.
Cheap Trick has arrived on Starflight, a fantastic new album featuring Blonde. Peter Frampton. Sensational M. Charlie Daniels Band.
Sold the steel.
Catch us Starflight. It's in stores now.
Steer across the summer green, twist and turn, go in between, flying free across the grass. You love the fun, you love it fast. You know what you could do. Come on and share a smile or two. 'Cause when you're smiling, keep on smiling. Who's come along with you?
Well, an interested spectator at this afternoon's ball game, a former sportscaster, a man who has now gone straight, Bill Paul, who co-hosts Marketplace with Joan Watson. You're not preparing to do anything on CFL football in Marketplace, are you?
Well, no, actually, I'm out here on assignment, Don, and going to be in the West for the next few days. What a game here, though. It's a bit like yesterday's, at least the first half, almost a defensive game, but a very good one. Those last two touchdowns have really brought the fans alive here.
Well, you've got Marketplace on the air this evening on the CBC television network. I understand you've got quite a show.
Yes, we have a very interesting show. We have our first installment of an insulation series. It's going to tell some unsettling things to Canadians. We hope they'll be watching. We also have a car test, and we also are going to tell some people about Christmas toys. And it should be a good show. I hope they're watching.
Okay, so you can check your local listings across the CBC television network for the telecast time in your area this evening of Marketplace. Bill Paul, I hope you enjoyed the second half of the ball game.
Thank you, Don. It's great to be back in Edmonton.
We're about set for the second half of this afternoon's ball game. The Edmonton Eskimos leading by 11 points, 2 touchdowns. John Konahowski and Brian Kelly late in the half, giving the Eskimos the lead. The pennant fluttering from Commonwealth Stadium, the Western Championship, as well as the CFL Championship. The Grey Cup victory achieved a year ago by the Eskimos over the Alouettes in Toronto. In the first half, the Eskimos, late in the game, got their offense on track. They had more first downs than the Stampeders. However, in terms of total offense, there wasn't much between the teams. Robert Sparks on the kickoff to start the second half, out to the 32-yard line. He's upset there by 10 million. A 48-yard kick with a 14-yard run back.
Don, I checked with both benches, re-injuries in the first half. Calvin Kirk is going to see some action, but Jack Oda doesn't think he's going to play very much, so that'll likely bring in McTagg as the receiver for the Calgary Stampeders. Waddell Smith on the other side for the Eskimos is slated to see action in the second half.
John McTagg is at a wide receiving position for the Stampeders. He's flanked left. Tommy Forzani is out to the right, and Willie Burton is the ball carrier. A pickup of about 3 yards. David Boone made the tackle. Jack Oda was pretty much prepared for the 3-4 defense. He had fully expected the Eskimos to go with those 3 down linemen, Boone, Fennell, and Este, backed by Credell and Kepley in the middle, Towns and Potter on the outside. He also thought that he'd be able to establish the running game a little more effectively than they have been able to so far. Johnson's sideline pass deflected by Greg Butler. And the Stampeders will be forced to kick it away on third down. Dave Fennell is the injured Eskimo. He appears to be in a great deal of pain. And Fennell, I can't recall ever seeing him go down before.
I haven't. This is exactly the first time, and if he's down, I think he's hurt. It'd be a tremendous blow to this Edmonton Eskimo football team if he is injured.
Well, in addition to the Grey Cup that the two competing teams will be contesting next Sunday, the individual awards at the CFL Championship game for outstanding offensive and defensive players, as presented by Labatt's, are two brand new automobiles. So there's some individual incentive for the players as well as that team championship. And this injury to Dave Fennell would certainly appear to be serious. As Terry mentioned, when Fennell goes down, you know he's hurt.
Well, they were double teaming Dave Fennell on that play with Miles Burrell and James Sykes. Miles took him up high, and James Sykes just came up, cleaned him up on down below. And it's obvious there's something wrong with Dave Fennell, for sure.
I was just looking at the depth chart here, gentlemen. They don't have anybody listed behind Fennell at right tackle. Figure that Stevenson from the right tackle offensively might have to come in and play some defense, where he did play for the Eskimos a couple of seasons ago before moving to the offensive line. But they're not very deep, the Eskimos, defensively up front like that.
Well, John, that's one of the problems. That's one of the reasons why they switched to that 3-4 front. However, they do have York Henschel to come in as Dave Fennell's replacement. But had they gone with the normal 4-3, that's when they ran into difficulties. They did not have any backup people had they gone with the 4-3. But they do have York Henschel to come in to back up Dave Fennell. Perhaps we'll see here how Fennell got hurt. Coming from the top of the screen, they go down low, and he gets hit from up top as well. It's James Sykes who throws the block down low, and it appeared as though Fennell twisted that knee as he went down. Fennell, 6'4", 250 pounds, graduate of the University of North Dakota, who, interestingly enough, announced his own signing with the Eskimos. He phoned several newspaper reporters in Edmonton to inform them that he had signed with Edmonton. He played his junior football here and then went to the University of North Dakota. He graduated from law school in April. A pre-game ritual. He, with one of the Edmonton assistant coaches, makes a couple of trips around the entire field, about an hour and a half before the game, and they discuss the upcoming game. Very popular player with his teammates and with Eskimo fans.
One of the great all-time Canadian tackles.
High kick by McTagg on third down. It's taken by Butler at the 30. Butler finds an opening and gets out to the 44-yard line before he's stopped by Willie Burton.
McTagg's kick, 45 yards, taken by Butler. Return of 14.
A reminder, next Saturday on Sports Weekend will feature Grey Cup replay with highlights of last year's Eskimo victory over the Als. And, of course, a look at what happened this year at the 1979 Grey Cup week festivities. So join Ernie Afghaniz for Sports Weekend next Saturday on CBC television.
First and 10 from the 44. The Eskimos with Warren Moon still directing the attack over the middle to Stu Lang. And was he punished as he caught the ball? Al Burleson delivered a crushing tackle just as Lang caught the ball.
He's a very durable receiver. Edmonton now are doing the things that they normally have done all season long. Calgary are coming with the same front four. They're playing man for man on the inside people. They figure they've got to go to them. It worked before. They're going to stay with them. He's an excellent receiver, really underplayed because of the dynamite receivers they have on the outside, but a very durable and resilient receiver.
Don Warrington will likely be moving in to replace Stu Lang, who must come out for at least one play. Yes, we say hello to the folks in Prince Edward Island. As a matter of fact, we say hello to everyone all across the CBC television network looking in this afternoon. We sincerely hope you're enjoying this Western Final, the second all-Alberta battle, played under considerably better conditions than the 1978 championship game when the mercury was down about -23.
Oh, you can't ask football weather than we're getting right now. Now we're going to take a look at it from ground level. You know, when you catch the football on the inside, you're going to get hit by a lot more people than just one defensive back when you're on the outside. And Al Burleson is good a hitter in the league with Downing, and you're going to pay the price when you catch it on the inside.
It's a first down for the Eskimos at midfield. Warrington has replaced Stu Lang. Jim Germany picks up about 3 yards. It will be 2nd and 7, Edmonton. Jim Germany is a little slow in getting to his feet. Oh, perhaps he was simply conferring with the officials and didn't have a problem. Well, apparently Stu Lang is all right. He's able to come back in. Don Warrington goes to the bench. And I wouldn't be at all surprised that when Lang did come in, he had a message from Coach Hugh Campbell.
Patience.
Good protection for Moon. Now he has to run out of there. He's got 4 people in pursuit. He gets away from one. He's going to run the ball for about 6 or 7 yards. Mike Wilson made one of the very fine blocks for Warren Moon when he decided to take off. He had 4 or 5 people in pursuit of him. Wilson has certainly been one of the big additions to the Eskimos this year.
6, 2nd and 2. Make that 32.
Bernie Morrison, the outside linebacker, injured on the play. He'll be replaced by Doug Battershall.
There was a great field back block by Stu Lang on Bernie Morrison. The receivers, that's another thing with the Edmonton team. When their quarterbacks start running for their lives, those receivers, not only are they looking for a dead area to find a spot to receive the ball, if there's nothing there, they're going to try to pick someone off.
3rd down kick by Elisic, fielded by Forzani, or Sparks, I should say, and he goes out of bounds at about the 16 or 17-yard line. Let's see where they mark it. Well, I'm wrong. They move it to the 19.
Takes out of bounds by Stu Lang. Stampeder ball 1st and 10 on their 19.
Dave Fennell on his feet at the Eskimo bench, but York Henschel has taken his place in the defensive alignment.
The doctors haven't got anything to report on Fennell yet. I suppose it has to be encouraging for the Eskimo supporters anyway that he is up and walking around. The injury was to his left knee.
Johnson trying to set up the screen. Covered well by the Eskimos. He got the pass away to Burden, but it was Dale Potter who made the tackle.
They were in the 3-4. Dale Potter started to come with the blitz, but he read the halfback. As soon as that halfback left early, he just stuck with him. That's his key. Right on the spot. Ken Johnson got the lower and just got creamed by David Boone.
So back at the 13-yard line, it's a loss of 6. It will be 2nd and 16. The Stampeders with the ball. Incomplete. Joe Holloman, the man defending, slipped and fell as he knocked that pass down. He thought he should have had an interception.
From our ground level, the ball seemed to get away from Ken Johnson here for the first time today. His receiver was wide open. He let that ball go too far to the outside. Joe Holloman he had his eye on James Sykes, not on the football, and slipped trying to make the recovery.
Well, unless Mike McTagg can really unload one, the Eskimos should get the ball back in pretty good field position. Good kick by McTagg. It's taken by Butler on his side of the midfield stripe. He doesn't go any further. 9:55 is the time remaining in this 3rd quarter. Edmonton leads 14-3. We'll be back with the Eskimo first down play right after this.
Sunrise, day breaks, dawn comes and the world awakes. There's a brand new day on its way, and Sanyo makes it better. Sunrise, day breaks, dawn comes and the world awakes. There's There's a brand new day on its way, and Sanyo makes it better.
Wake up to audio with the true-to-life quality and richness you've been dreaming about. Wake up to Sanyo's new generation of audio components. It's an exciting new day for sound. Live it to the full with Sanyo.
Sunrise, day breaks, dawn comes and the world awakes. There's a brand new day on its way, and Sanyo makes it better.
James Sykes looks on as the Edmonton Eskimos scrimmage the ball shy of the midfield stripe. Goes going deep, cross over, he can't catch up with it. Tommy Scott had maneuvered his way into the clear behind the Calgary defender, but he was overthrown by Warren Moon.
Warren Moon's got an excellent arm. Here he gets away. Tommy Scott gets away from Bernie Morrison. Now he's got Robert Sparks' feet. Robert has got his feet tied up, lays the ball up on top. But Warren Moon with the strong arm just rifled it instead of laying it softly on top and fading the football a little bit.
Hey, a moment ago we caught sight of a pretty good pass receiver at that Eskimo bench, George McGowan, who retired this year as a result of injuries, but I'm sure his affections still lie with the Eskimos. Penalty flag goes down as the pass was intended for Brian Kelly. There are several penalty flags. It looks as though it will go against Calgary, pass interference. I think that Bernie Morrison was the man guilty of the infraction.
Repeated second. We have an offensive holding, Edmonton number 57. We had a defensive pass interference, Calgary number 72. The penalty bounds will repeat the second down.
Well, I was partially correct. There was also a holding call against the Eskimos. I wonder if that fellow saw it any better with his field glasses than Mo Simovich did with his. Second and 10. Incomplete, intended for Kelly. So it will be third and 10 for the Eskimos. Moon unhappy about something, and I think Kelly as well was a little perturbed. He felt that interference should have been charged.
Terry Irvin knocked Brian Kelly down, but he's got to realize that if he's entering the territory of defensive back, he's got the right to defend his area. And Terry Irvin did that. He knocked him down.
Third down punt by Hank Illicit. Scott's having difficulty. He finally picked it up. And the Eskimos came very close to scooping up that loose ball. A 42-yard kick, a 2-yard return. Well, the Eskimos have their fans all over Alberta and the Northwest Territories, obviously. And there's the man we referred to a little while ago, George McGowan. What a career he had. As a matter of fact, he was a Schenley Award winner a few years back as the country's outstanding player. I think that was the year he erased one of your records from the book.
Yes, he did, and one of the all-time really great receivers ever in the history of this league. A super athlete, great concentration on the ball, not outstanding speed, but knew where all the zones were, great pattern runner, just a fine individual, and tough too.
Cal Murphy, the former head coach of the BC Lions, an assistant with Montreal, now an assistant with the Eskimos, conferring with Warren Moon as Tom Wilkinson warms up, and the Stampeders scrimmage second and 10 after that incomplete pass from Johnson to James Sykes. Johnson under pressure. He dumps it off to Bob Vickers, and he was able to hang on. Good catch by Vickers at the 35 as he had Kepley all over him along with Joe Holloman.
Well, they're coming just with the front four. They feel that they're getting enough pass rush on him. David Boone's in there on top of him. He steps up in the pocket, comes to the outside. He's waving his receivers downfield. Bob Vickers finds a soft spot to the outside, makes an excellent catch.
Big first down for the Stampeders. They're at their own 36. Over the middle again, and Willie Armstead gets out to the 52-yard line, where he's stopped by Ed Jones. 7:33 is the time remaining in the third quarter. We've got a timeout.
General Motors, we're committed to leadership in fuel efficiency.
The punishing play of this game is certainly taking its toll. Dave Fennell has gone down, Waddell Smith, Calvin Kirk, and I think we'll see Ed Jones injured on this play as he comes in to assist on the tackle of number 18, Willie Armstead. It appeared as though he may have been hit by his own man, middle linebacker Carl Cronell. Tom Wilkinson continuing to stay loose at the Eskimo bench. He started the ball game. He was unable to click in his passing attack. Warren Moon took over, and while he had some early problems, he finished the half in great style with touchdown throws to John Konahowski and Brian Kelly. As Ed Jones comes out, John, what have you got to report?
Well, I was just going to remind everyone again about Grey Cup Day 79, beginning next Sunday morning here on CBC television with pregame countdown live from Olympic Stadium in Montreal. Host Tom McKee will be on hand, so join us for Grey Cup Day 79 a week from today.
We just hope the weather is as good or even better at Olympic Stadium next Sunday afternoon, John. Emilio Fraietta has replaced Jones. The pass was intended for Mike McTagg, and Dan Kepley dropped back into that hook zone along with Dale Potter. Jones, number 24, going back into the ball game as number 37, the rookie Emilio Fraietta, comes to the bench.
The diagnosis on Dave Fennell is a hyperextension of the left knee. He could well be back in this game.
You see here Ken Johnson looking for Mike McTagg. Important thing here is that once Edmonton establishes their front four and they don't have to blitz their linebackers, they now have 8 people in a defensive secondary, and it's going to be pretty tough to pass against them.
Mike McTagg at the 50, short of a first down by about a yard. He fell in front of Greg Butler. It will be third and about 1.
9, beginning next Sunday morning here on CBC television with pregame countdown live from Olympic Stadium in Montreal. Host Tom McKee will be on hand, so join us for Grey Cup Day 79 a week from today.
We just hope the weather is as good or even better at Olympic Stadium next Sunday afternoon, John. Emilio Fraietta has replaced Jones. The pass was intended for Mike McTagg, and Dan Kepley dropped back into that hook zone along with Dale Potter. Jones, number 24, going back into the ball game as number 37, the rookie Emilio Fraietta, comes to the bench.
The diagnosis on Dave Fennell is a hyperextension of the left knee. He could well be back in this game.
You see here Ken Johnson looking for Mike McTagg. Important thing here is that once Edmonton establishes their front four and they don't have to blitz their linebackers, they now have 8 people in a defensive secondary, and it's going to be pretty tough to pass against them.
Mike McTagg at the 50, short of a first down by about a yard. He fell in front of Greg Butler. It will be third and about 1. Well, the antics of the fans at Commonwealth Stadium, delighting some members of the audience. Claude or Claude is doing quite a job of encouraging some of the spectators.
That's Claude Scott. He's a regular fixture at all National Hockey League games in Edmonton.
James Sykes has the first down.
The
Eskimo bench looking on for a moment. I'm sure that offensive unit thought that Sykes had been stopped. They had begun moving onto the field. However, it was a first down. Waddell Smith warming up with Tom Wilkinson at the Edmonton bench. He hasn't been back since he was hurt. The pass intended for Forzani goes incomplete. It will be 2nd and 10 from the 48. Ron Este and David Boone dumped Ken Johnson as he threw the ball.
Well, the interior of that defensive line of Este and Boone are playing super football right now. They're coming just all-out pass rush. Calgary can't run the football. They're just pinning their ears back and coming and dropping 8 people off.
5:40 is the time left to play in this third quarter. 2nd and 10 from the 48. Johnson gets away from the initial charge. He may run it. There's a block on Cornell, and Johnson goes out of bounds with a first down. Mike Horton was the man who made a good block at Carl Cornell, enabling Johnson to run for the first down, and he wisely stepped out of bounds as he saw several tacklers moving in on him. Dave Fennell now having some problems with his helmet. That knee injury has apparently been solved, at least sufficiently to now allow Fennell to return. Draw play with Sykes. He is caught and brought down at the 31 by Potter. Henschel again replacing Dave Fennell as the Eskimos shift into that 3-4 defensive set. The ball is at the 30. It is 2nd and about 7. Goes wide left. Forzani splits right. Forzani, the intended receiver, and again he had difficulties with his footing on the sidelines. He slipped and fell.
I don't know why. I don't believe there's anything wrong with the field down there, and they're slipping very easily. You know, I'm sure it's the cleats, and I don't think they've changed because they're still falling the second half. He's had his man beat. He ran a nice pattern, nice hook-out pattern to the outside. He had Holloman beat easily. But you notice here, he just loses his footing very easily.
On 3rd down, J.T. Hay enters the ball game. He'll try from 37 yards. He was successful from this distance earlier. It is good again. And the Stampeders reduce the deficit to 8 points. It's now 14-6 for Edmonton.
Again, they're doing repeatedly what they've done. They did in the first half. They move down between the 20s and they get stuck there. You can't beat a championship team by getting stuck in the 30-yard line.
It amazes me how those fans always seem to know when they're on Kim.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's the man that's downstairs that's got his eye on him, too.
From the 35, it's 1st and 10 for the Eskimos. 4:08, the time remaining in this third quarter. Stu Lang came back for the football. He was stopped short of a first down, but he made a very good play in front of Merv Walker to come back to the ball when he saw the quarterback, Warren Moon, was in trouble.
8-yard gain, 2nd and 2.
Instead of when I tell you on the line of scrimmage, I tell you on the line of scrimmage I'm coming, but the back opens up through, I got to come off and take it. And as a result, you got to go back to the side.
Dale Potter and David Boone discussing with defensive coach Don Matthews the job that they have to do over the balance of this ball game to contain the Stampeders. On 2nd down, Germany is in trouble. He ran into his own blocker and then is thrown out of bounds by Reggie Lewis.
There's been no running, so to speak, of this whole afternoon on either side. And the only way they move the football is by the pass. Calgary's defense has been the best against the run the second half of the schedule. They're doing it this afternoon again. The only way that Edmonton's moved the football is so that they're inside receivers. They did it earlier with Stu Lang. They come back and try to run the draw play or search play with Jim Germany, but they can't because Calgary's got 5 and 6 people up on that line of scrimmage, and there's just no gaps to run the football.
Terry, am I wrong? But I seem to sense that this ball game is switching just a little. The Stampeders seem to be gaining the momentum in this third quarter.
Well, maybe we're going to see Tom Wilkinson again. Warren Moon wants to go up on top a lot. Wilkie now, I think, has had time to look and see what's developed downfield and come back with a little bit more controlled game.
Tom Forzani tried to do a lot of maneuvering to find some room, but he didn't find that, and he is stopped at the 40-yard line. Let's pause for this message.
Where are we going?
Where do you want to go?
Tobogganing. I love the big hill.
Down the hill.
I'm gonna fly.
What do you want for lunch?
I have an invisible sandwich.
No, if you have an invisible sandwich, then you'll be invisibly hungry.
Is the man gonna come with us?
What man?
The nice tower man who takes care of us when we go in the car.
Sure. We wouldn't drive anywhere without him.
For tough winter roads, make Michelin winter radials your one and only tire.
One and only Michelin.
Make a pass by, make it last by. Catch the wind that's sweeping low. Skim the surf, the rest below. Stay around, and back you go. Make a pass, make it last. Almost time to let go. Take the time, share a blue. Take a while, share a smile. When you're smiling.
Well, all you Calgary fans will certainly recognize Ralph, and he's here attempting to lend support to the efforts of the Stampeders. Base scrimmage, 1st and 10 from the 40-yard line. Good faking by Johnson. Forzani on the sidelines. He makes the catch at the 52 of the Eskimos. Forzani did a good job of making sure his feet were in bounds as he hauled in that throw from Ken Johnson.
Well, we're going to get a look at it from our end zone camera. He made a super pass pattern, went to the post, went to the flag, and came back and left Joe Holloman stand out there all by himself. Here we got a good ISO on it right here. You'll see Joe Holloman looking at the quarterback. Tommy fakes him to the outside, jumps inside. Joe's got his eye still on the quarterback. Nice, easy pitch and catch to the outside.
Back to live action. First down, Calgary. Sideline, Forzani again. And Forzani has another first down. They'll mark it at the 37.
Don, the play they started the game off with, outside people against Edmonton, that's where you pass on them. They give you 10 yards, you got to throw it to the outside. They got away with it, away from it for 2 quarters. Now they're starting to come back again. And I agree with you, the momentum has started to shift a little bit now.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Yeah. Remember those junior days, eh?
1st and 10 for the Stampeders. They're at the 37 of the Eskimos. Inside with James Sykes, but not against that Edmonton defensive set. David Boone met him head on. A pickup of 1, maybe 2.
They're going to try the occasional running play. Maybe to stop that front 4 from coming so hard. But the experience of Kepler and Cornell in the middle, they don't bite on that. They got the keys in the boat. Burden and Sykes, they don't jump too early. If they see pass, they get back in their hook zones as well as anybody. So you're not going to fool them at this stage of the game with the run.
Jones shaken up again. Frietta has taken his spot at a defensive half position. Bob Vickers, incomplete.
That's the turnover I'm talking about, Don. They've moved the football well, and then all of a sudden they come up with a bad play like that. He's got time to throw. He lets it get away from him on the side. Okay, mind you, had pretty good protection there, but he lays it outside, but too far.
So on 3rd down, J.T. Hay enters the ball game once again. This time his try for 3 will come from 43 yards up. He's hit on a pair of 37-yarders to account for the Calgary scoring. He's got the length. It's wide. And in the end zone, Larry Highbaugh dancing around and will concede the single point. So now a converted touchdown is all that separates the Stampeders from the Edmonton Eskimos, who are leading with 1:13 remaining in the 3rd quarter. 14-3 was the score at halftime in favor of Edmonton. 2 late touchdowns. Warren Moon passing to Brian Kelly and throwing to John Konahowski. A beautiful football afternoon in the Alberta capital. Yesterday, the temperature was nudging 10 degrees. Today, at game time, it was about 6, and I don't believe it has dropped much since then. Moon throwing for Kelly. He was turned around. He was heading to the sidelines. He had to swing around and go to his inside trying to catch that ball, and in front of Robert Sparks, he was unable to do it, and Moon was under a little pressure that time as well.
He was, and it was an excellent double pattern in and out by both inside and outside receivers. As I talked earlier in the game, Calgary with their man-on-man defense usually shift. Now they tried to do it there, and they tried to cross him up with a good deep pick pattern, but he got rushed and he couldn't get the ball to the outside.
2nd and 10 from the 35 with 42 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Kelly's wide open. He's got a first down and more to the 50 of the Stampeders. A very vital second down conversion for the Eskimos.
That's what they've been doing. They've been converting. Calgary has not. First curl pattern they've run all afternoon. Warren Moon getting good protection. He comes in, he slides on the inside because the linebacker had shifted to the outside to cover the back. We take a look at it. Here's the ISO shot of it right here. He pushes off of Ray Odoms. Odoms is looking at the quarterback. Smart receiver slides back to the soft spot.
What should be the final play of the third quarter as we go back to live action. Moon is going to run it. He is caught by Dombrowski and down in the vicinity of the 40-yard line, very close to a first down. The scoreboard clock reveals the time has expired in this third quarter. There's the signal from the field. And with 15 minutes remaining in this Western Championship game, Edmonton leads by 7.
Here we are again at the James Bay Hydroelectric Project. When we were here 2 years ago, we said, here where toughness is the measure of a man and his equipment, Chevrolet is proving again. Chevrolet trucks are built to stay tough. We were here then, and we're still here today, proving Chevy has the staying power to see a tough job through.
At Canadian Pacific, we think of ourselves in 2 different ways. First, we think of ourselves as people getting needed goods from one place to another, in Canada and around the world. And we're people getting you from where you are to someplace else and looking after you along the way. And we're people getting necessary information from where it is to where it's needed. In other words, at Canadian Pacific, we are people in the transportation business. And the second way we think of ourselves is as people filling basic needs, like steel making, or forest products, or oil and gas, or minerals, or shelter. In other words, we're people developing basic resources. And that's the 2 ways we think of ourselves at Canadian Pacific: transportation and resources.
But when you think twice about it, those 2 words say a lot.
Today's Canadian Pacific.
Working for you in transportation
and resources.
Well, I think we're going to have to change the colors of our CBC jackets.
Real people are hard to find down here.
Reggie Lewis putting the pressure on Warren Moon, and he very dangerously threw that one up.
Well, he was just trying to get rid of the football. Reggie Lewis had came to the inside. Tommy Scott was supposed to block down on him, and you're not going to block a guy that's 180 pounds on someone that's 265. And Reggie just shot to the inside, chasing Warren Moon. Ta-Nehisi was open, but there was no way that Warren could pull up with any kind of safety measure and get rid of the football.
You know, when you talk about that Calgary defensive unit, the arrival of Reggie Lewis and Ed McElhaney in mid-1977 really was the turning point as far as the Stampeder defensive unit was concerned.
Well, they went through a dry period there, 6-7 years, without any type of pass rush except for John Helton, and they knew they had to get hard charge in defensive end, and that helped turn that whole team around.
Field goal attempt by Dave Cutler. It's wide. Porzani comes out of the end zone and maneuvers to the 6th before he's stopped by Bob Howe. That's the second field goal try by Dave Cutler. I was talking to Huey Campbell before the game, and I asked if Cutler perhaps had lost a little because usually he was Mr. Reliable. He said, no, not really. It's just that he hasn't had that much work this year. And, of course, that has been the case as the Eskimos went on a scoring rampage and set an all-time scoring record in the CFL. Dave did not get his usual 55 or 60 attempts.
No, and he was Mr. Convert now instead of Mr. Field Goal, and he said it got him out of rhythm. He was just chip-shotting the ball now, and it hurt his field goal range.
The long throw for Armstead. Pick-off throw, incomplete. Pete Laverato almost had it, and as they came down, Armstead perhaps stripped him of the ball. It's an incomplete pass.
They went down to the opening play almost to the first quarter, but one thing that Edmonton's doing right now, they're going with a safety free. You can see Pete Laverato just sitting down there deep. Okay, Willie had his man beat, Joe Holloman, but again, Laverato. Here we're going to take a look at an ice. He's just running a seam pattern to the inside. He had Joe beat, but there's Laverato coming on the inside, almost come up with the interception.
As they came down, as I suggested, it was Armstead stripping the ball from him. 2nd and 10 from the 7-yard line. Over the middle, complete, but not a first down at the 15. Sykes looks to the sidelines. He stopped about 1.5 yards short.
Calgary, I believe, have to remain with some poise here. Okay, they don't convert it here, but it's the first time they've hit their back coming out of the backfield. The linebackers are running out of there. He dumps it softly, but they can't try to pick it up all in one play. If the defense turns it around, they're only 7 points behind. A lot of time to go in this football game yet.
They needed a good kick from McTagg, and they got one. Butler has to go back to his own 53. He puts his head down and drives to the 49 of the Stampeders, where he's stopped by Rob Koschel. A 42-yard kick and a 7-yard run back. Warren Moon moving in to direct the Edmonton attack. They've stayed with Moon in the signal calling position ever since he came on in relief of Tom Wilkinson early in the 2nd quarter. Jim Germany inside, picks up about 2. His advance was arrested by Reggie Lewis. Dan Kepley has had work done on that right leg of his a couple of times during the course of this ball game. He has that right calf muscle rather heavily bandaged. It could be a cramp. That seems to be the problem they're working on.
And a lot of times if that tape is too tight, it's going to create a cramp anyway.
Second and about 8. Moon will try and put it in the air. He's going deep. It was intended for Kelly. There's a penalty flag. He was pushed out of bounds by Terry Irvin. No doubt about Irvin interfering with Kelly going down the sidelines. Irvin has been bumping with those receivers all afternoon. That time he got caught.
Well, listen, he's playing defense the way it's supposed to be played. We're going to take a look at it here. Brian Kelly starts to head him up. He gets a little inside fake. Terry didn't go for it, but now Brian Kelly started to go to the outside. Terry Irvin's not allowed to reach out and push him out of bounds. All he had to do was stay in front of him, and he wouldn't have gotten the penalty. I think it was a bad penalty on his part.
On first down, Moon has the ball knocked loose. Who's got it? I think Edmonton might have recovered. Ed McElhaney was the man who came through and hit Warren Moon, but the Edmonton Eskimos were able to recover. Oh, were the Eskimos fortunate there. Watch this pressure.
Oh, I mean, they've been coming like this all afternoon. We're seeing probably the greatest pressure we've seen all season, both defensive line. He had his receiver open downfield, but just terrific pressure on the inside. It almost to turn over the game.
Bill Stevenson was the man who got back to pouncing the ball at the 45. It's now 2nd and 27 for the Eskimos. 11:24 is the time remaining in the game. Moon will try and put it up again. He finds the receiver. It's Konahowski. Konahowski gets down to about the 23. He's short of the first down, but well within the field goal range of Dave Cutler.
Again, we see him dropping back. He's looking to his inside people. They're one-on-one. He ran a curl pattern. Robert Sparks started to run out of there. John Konahowski, a big target, picks up big yardage.
Konahowski was shaken up on the play. But now Dave Cutler comes into the ball game to try a field goal from the 30. Kick is up. It is good. And with 10:48 remaining in the ball game, let's pause for this message.
When you take a quick look at what we do at Canadian Pacific, you may see a lot of people doing a lot of different jobs. But when you take a second look, it all comes down to two things: resource development and transportation. Transportation and resources. At Canadian Pacific, we think a quick look at what we do is fine, but we hope you'll think we're worth a second look, because we believe transportation and resources are important to every one of us. Today's Canadian Pacific.
Working for you in transportation?
And resources.
The attendance at Commonwealth Stadium this afternoon has just been announced. 43,033, an all-time record for the home of the Eskimos. Picked off by Freyetta. And Freyetta is taken out of bounds by Willie Armstead. Emilio Freyetta, the rookie.
Well, they feel he's a real comer for them in the years to come. He took Pete Labarado's spot. He sits on the inside. They had inverted. He wasn't even looking for the receiver downfield. He had his eyes in the backfield. Johnson laid it out there, and Emilio was right there to pick up an important interception right now.
Well, with 10:22 left to play and a 10-point difference, the Eskimos have the ball at the 29. Santucci. He has a first down to the 18-yard line. Upset by Terry Irvin.
First running play all day. We got an excellent block by Germany on Wojnarowski. Santucci turns it to the outside. Very first time they've had any area to run whatsoever. But that's an Edmonton team. They take advantage of something. They figure them to pass, and what do? They run off tackle for the first time.
Germany tries to go wide. He gets the block, and he has a gain of about 7. Well, in the third quarter, the Calgary Stampeders seem to be picking up the momentum. They seem to be carrying the play. And suddenly it switched just as it did in the first half, and now it's all Edmonton.
Well, Eskimos will bend, but they won't break. They're very resilient, and they know that they got patience on their side. They've been there. They know what it takes to win. Calgary's got to come to them. The pressure's on them, not on the Eskimos. What they do, they turn it over. Now they're marching in again.
2nd and 4 for Edmonton. Moon under pressure, and he is sacked back at the 20-yard line. The first contact was made by Ken Dombrowski, and then people following up finished off the job.
Well, it's about time they got to him because they've just been coming with a strong right all day. Ken Dombrowski finally got inside. The defensive backs had the receiver shut down downfield, and I think it's about time they got to him, don't you, Don? I mean, they've just played outstanding defensive ball, and look, they've just applied pressure all afternoon. We can't give enough accolades to both of those defenses. We're seeing the best football of the year. I know I said it earlier, but we have. It's Western-style football.
Field goal attempt by Dave Cutler from the 27. It's blocked. Racing into the end zone after it is Tom Forzani. He concedes a single point. Terry Irvin was the man who blocked that field goal try by Dave Cutler. You know, Terry, when you look back in this ball game, that field goal attempt by Dave Cutler earlier that got Calgary into difficulty from 50 yards out was wide. Forzani ran it out of the end zone. He got out to the 6. Had he conceded a single point, they would have got the ball back at the 50-yard line.
Yes, definitely. I always knew you were kind of Zacapulli. Mo Simmons, did you pick that up?
You know, when you look back, at that point, they would have been 8 points down. However, they would have had the ball in good field position instead of back at their own 6-yard line. Now they try to generate some offense, and they pick up a first down as Willie Burton gets to about the 46.
10-yard gain, first down,
18-7 is the score. The Stampeders, with 8:01, the time remaining, have a first down just across their own 45. Good catch by Willie Armstead. A gain of about 7 yards. It will be 2nd and 3 when we return after this message.
At one time, the people who owned Canadian Pacific came from several other countries. And naturally, their interests were different from ours. But times have changed. And now we have a whole new ball game. Today, the majority of people who own our company are Canadians. Canadians like you and me. And today at Canadian Pacific, we know that's a winning combination. Today's Canadian Pacific.
Working for you in transportation and resources.
2nd and 3, the situation facing Ken Johnson and the Calgary Stampeders as the Eskimos' Tom Wilkinson looks on. Very big play right here. Dave Fennell caught Willie Burton, and then with some help, Burton is dropped at the 49. Value of Dave Fennell to that Edmonton defensive unit is never more evident than on that particular play.
Oh, this is a great defense. They just swoon all the time. David Fennell just hits the gap on the inside. Willie Burton now gets away from him, but it gives enough time for the rest of the defense to come inside. Just great defense.
A tag on 3rd down. Good kick. Joe Holloman is knocked over at about the 17 by Rob Koshel. 6:52 is the time remaining. That was a 47-yard kick by Mike McTagg, a 5-yard runback. Tom Krebs, one of the rookies in that offensive line for the Stampeders. Basically a Canadian offensive line. The only import being Mike Horton, the right guard. Krebs is the center, Kersinger the guard, Durrell and Fairbanks the tackles. Draw play, the ball is fumbled, and it's recovered by the Eskimos. Jim Germany. Well, when things are going right for you, Terry, you're rather fortunate because twice now the Eskimos have dropped that ball and been able to scoop it up.
Well, it was a poor handoff. It looked like Warren Moon took too wide of a rollout, and it was a bad handoff. And luckily for them, Germany fell on the ball.
2nd and 12. The Stampeders must hold here. Draw play with Germany. Germany is going to be stopped well short. As a matter of fact, he's thrown back for about another 2 yards by Dombrowski and Wozniacki. 5:54 is the time left. Willie Armstead, early in the ball game, had a chance to put the Stampeders out in front. However, with a fine tackle by Butler, he was stripped of the ball down on the 1-yard line. When you look back, that could very well have been the turning point of this entire game.
I'm inclined to agree with you, Donald, because they would have scored right off at the top. Very few times this season has Edmonton ever had to come from behind.
What a kick by Hank Olisic. Berzani has to go all the way back to his own 35. Every time the Eskimos need a big play, they seem to get it. Fraietta with an interception, Olisic with a 59-yard kick.
Well, they've got cover with the field goals. They got Hank Olisic, a 47-yard average during the regular season, and has repeatedly throughout the year come up with the big kicks for them, and that's why they're a championship team. They've got all areas, plus they're special. 60-yard punt, the people are right down there to make the tackle.
1st and 10 for the Stampeders. They are at their own 43. 5:17 is the time remaining. 18-7, the Eskimos lead. Johnson with good protection, having difficulty finding a receiver. He tried to dump it off to Sykes. It goes incomplete. The Eskimos taking no chances. They had 6 deep backs covering. Johnson had lots of protection but couldn't find an open target.
Well, it's this stage of the game now. If he's getting the protection, some receivers got to get open. If you've got 5 to 7 seconds, you've got to get open because now you have the area to operate in. If they're all running out of there, there's excellent area to come back to the football.
2nd and 10. Johnson to Forzani. Incomplete. I thought he had the ball, but it was popped loose by Butler. Terry Irvin from the Calgary bench looking on, taking a glance at the scoreboard clock, and it shows 4:49 left. The Stampeders 3rd and 10 from the 43.
So every time it looks like they're going to start moving again and gaining momentum, they just cannot convert that 2nd down. They cannot come up with that important 1st down. And it's really hurt them.
Joe Holloman on the punt return, stopped at the 35 by Larry Titley. Well, on the exchange of punts, 44-yard boot by Mike McTagg, the Eskimos pick up about 15 yards.
Well, the thing now that Edmonton has to do, they've got to come back to patient football. Take the little gain right now. Don't create a big turnover by that defense. You don't have to go up on top. Just control the football now. The time is in your favor, so use up the clock.
1st and 10 for the Eskimos. They are at their own 36. A reverse with Germany. He is stopped and dropped for a loss.
The handoff to Germany. Palazetti.
Ollie Bakken and John Palazetti made the tackle. Apart from one run by Santucci, the Eskimos have not had any success in moving the ball along the ground.
None whatsoever. And that's full credit to that defensive front four of Calgary. And you're not going to fool them now with that search or draw play at this stage of the game. They're even coming with their linebackers, so they're going to close the gaps, and there's nothing in there. There's no room at all to run.
2nd and 13 for Edmonton. Moon is going to run the ball. He won't get a 1st down as he's taken out of bounds by Ollie Bakken. He got to the 35, 3:19 remaining in the game. Edmonton will again send in the punting unit. You know, we talk about the racquetball gloves that some of the receivers are wearing. What would you call those that the defensive linemen and the offensive linemen are wearing?
Clubs. They don't look like gloves to me. They're clubs. I don't know why receivers want to stay to the outside.
Alisic angling it out of bounds, and it goes out at, well, let's see where they mark it. The 45. And look who has the football. 3:02 is the time remaining. Let's pause for this message.
Okay, we're going to check out the different jobs we do at Canadian Pacific. You got that? Okay. Railway, that's one. Airline, that's one.
That's two.
Trucking, that's one. Ships, that's one. Telecommunications, that's one. Hotels, that's one. Okay, railway, airline, trucking, ships, telecommunications, hotels. That's one job, transportation. Now, on to the others. Mining, that's two. Forest products, that's two. Real estate, that's two. Steel making, that's two. Petroleum, that's two. Okay. Mining, forest products, real estate, steel, petroleum. That's the second job. Resource development. At Canadian Pacific, we work at two basic jobs.
Transportation and resources.
Today's Canadian Pacific.
Working for you in transportation
and resources.
Well, the fans of Commonwealth Stadium this season have been entertained by more than just the Eskimos. I think he laid an egg in that one, didn't he?
You don't think it's easy down here, guys, eh?
It's a zoo down there.
However, for the 43,000-plus fans of Commonwealth Stadium, the verdicts have been somewhat more decisive than what the scoreboard reads at the moment. 18-7, the Eskimos leading. But this could very well be Calgary's last gasp right here. Johnson throwing back to Willie Armstead. Incomplete. Or are they going to rule a catch? No catch.
At this stage of the game, Don, you got to come with the plays that have been working for you earlier in the game. Willie Armstead ran a curl, came across the defense. Then Johnson looked for it, came back. But here we get excellent defensive play by Greg Butler. When that ball's up in the air, it may look like sometimes it's a double team, but it's really not. Those defensive backs are now reacting to the football, and they've got everybody around that ball.
2:45 left on the clock. 2nd and 10 Calgary from their own 45. Picked off by the Eskimos. Dan Kepley. He throws it out to Cornell. And the Eskimos have the ball at the 52, and that could be the ball game right there.
Do you think Carl Cornell's happy? He wants to go to Montreal, I think. To me, it's the first bad pass Ken Johnson has thrown all day. He looked down the center. Dan Kepley was sitting right down the pike. Willie Armstead was covered like a blanket. That's the one area he should not have thrown. Pitches it out to big CC, and he sees Montreal all the way.
Cornell, of course, traded by the Alouettes to the Eskimos when the Eskimos felt they had lost middle linebacker Dan Kepley with a broken jaw. And, of course, he would like the opportunity to go up against his former mates in the Grey Cup game. And at the moment, it looks very much as though he'll be doing just that next Sunday afternoon. Jim Germany rips off a gain of about 8 yards. Carl Cornell, an 8-year veteran, a linebacker with the Alouettes, traded to Edmonton. Many people feel that he and Dan Kepley were the top 2 middle linebackers in the country. And now the Eskimos have both of them.
Well, it gives it that defense a whole new dimension. 3 men coming, they can shoot any one of those 4 linebackers. It gives extra fits to that offensive line, and it proves their worth tonight.
Germany appears to have the first down as he drives to the 42. He is stopped by Bernie Morrison. You know, there has been considerable conjecture regarding the fate of this man, Tom Forzani. A lot of people seem to feel that he might wind up with an Eastern Conference team next season.
Well, as a receiver, Tommy's had great production in Calgary. I just hope that that city can get together. It was too bad if they lost another star. They've lost a number of people that way in the last few years. And if Tommy does come back east, he's going to find they play a different brand of football back there, that they don't throw the football as much, and maybe his production and worth would drop off.
2:02, the time left in the game. 1st and 10 for the Eskimos. The Eskimos leading by 11 points. And at this stage, I'm quite sure they'll remain on the ground. Angelo Santucci. What a courageous story. Santucci, a very doubtful starter, minutes before the ball game. He had difficulty even dressing for this game. The doctors examined him. He insisted that he was ready to play. He is running a fever. He has had problems with the flu. But he is out there playing and playing well.
Ed McElhenney, 26 quarterback sacks all year. He just overpowers Eric Upton here. Super player for Calgary.
Lauren Moon is caught by Reggie Lewis. It will be 3rd down, Calgary, or Edmonton.
Ed McElhenney reminds me of Don Leslie. Big, strong. You couldn't move him out on the inside. And he's going to be playing with that team for a long time to come.
Jack Goda has to be extremely disappointed. His Stampeders compiled a 12-4 record to finish in 2nd place behind Edmonton. They crushed the BC Lions 37-2 in the Western semifinal last week. But for the 2nd straight year, it looks as though they're going to go down to defeat to the Eskimos in the Western final. Forzani in the end zone concedes the single point. And it's now 19-7 with 1:05 remaining in the game.
No matter what the outcome, we'll be in the winner's dressing room directly after the game to talk to the Stars just prior to their departure for the Grey Cup.
John, unless some miracle occurs, I think you can start making your way to the Edmonton Eskimo dressing quarters. We would certainly be remiss at this point of the ball game, Terry, if we did not thank our statistician, Sim Simoni, our spotter, Mo Simovich, and our isolated camera director, Ken Nielsen, as well as our director, Larry Brown, for the fine job they have done, not only this afternoon, but throughout the season. Johnson in trouble. Back at the 25-yard line, he is sacked with 1 minute exactly remaining in this Western Championship game. Credit Tom Towns and David Boone with that quarterback sack.
Don, I'd like to add to that my rookie year up here, I've had a wonderful time with the people I've worked with, veterans, professionals, and I want to say thank you to all the crew that I've worked with.
Well, the season isn't over. One more game coming up, Terry, next Sunday afternoon at the Big O Olympic Stadium for the 3rd successive year. The Edmonton Eskimos and the Montreal Alouettes. Johnson to the sidelines to Vickers. He is taken out of bounds by Potter. Short of a 1st down. The ball is at the 31.
Well, we talked about it earlier in the game, Don. The Eskimos took advantage of the opportunities when they arose. Calgary did not. Missed field goals, opportunities down to the 20-yard line, not converting them when they had good momentum going for them. They were controlling the ball game, coming out with 3 points. Edmonton turning around and getting 7, finally wearing you down. And that's why the champions and probably one of the greatest teams ever in the history of this league.
And that will be the ball game. The pass intended for Armstead, knocked out of bounds, deflected by Greg Butler, and with 31 seconds remaining, the Eskimos will take over on downs, 1st and 10 at Calgary's 31. Yes, the Eskimos, a jubilant group. They have assured themselves of victory for the 2nd straight year over the Stampeders in the Western Championship. Next Sunday afternoon at Olympic Stadium, The 1979 Grey Cup, a rematch. The Alouettes and the Eskimos. Don Chevrier, Tom McKee, Russ Jackson, Terry Evanson, John Wells, and I will be there to bring you all the excitement, all the color of Grey Cup Week on the CBC television network. Of course, on the change of possession, the clock does not start until the ball was snapped. So that play used up just 1 second. But now, as the referee, Don Barker, moves away from the ball and blows his whistle, the clock will begin to move, and the Eskimos will have no difficulties in running out the 30 seconds that remain. Warren Moon and his teammates glancing back. Jim Germany watching the clock, taking a look. Germany goes down on one knee with just 12 seconds remaining. John Wells is standing by at the Edmonton Eskimo dressing room. And as the Western champions prepare to move off the field, he'll be talking with them. So we invite you to stay tuned for our post-game show. And already I'm sure that Joe Scannella and his Montreal Alouette coaching staff are making preparations for next Sunday's date. And that will do it. That's the ball game as the Edmonton Eskimos defeat the Calgary Stampeders in this Western final. Hugh Campbell making his third straight Grey Cup appearance. He was bombed the last time they went to Olympic Stadium. That was in 1977 when the Alouettes won 41-6. However, last year, Campbell came back to lead his Eskimos to victory when the Grey Cup game was played at CNE Stadium in Toronto. So you could say this will be the rubber match involving the Eskimos and the Alouettes. The Eskimos and the Alouettes have been involved in quite a few Grey Cup games in recent years. They played in 1974 with Montreal winning 20-7. In 1975, Edmonton won it 9-8 in that terribly cold Grey Cup game in Calgary. Then in 1976, for a change of pace, it was Ottawa winning over Saskatchewan. But in 77, it was Montreal and Edmonton going at it again, with Montreal winning. And then last year, the Eskimos won. They will play again next Sunday afternoon at Olympic Stadium, Montreal and the Edmonton Eskimos. We'll return with our post-game show after we pause for this message.
We took your favorite full-size car, the new Chevrolet, and made it right for the 80s in Chevrolet's kind of way.
The 1980 Chevrolet Caprice and Impala, new aerodynamic design, new V6 engine and new tire technology, and the best fuel efficiency estimates ever in a full-size Chevrolet. Right for the 80s, right for you.
Right for you, it's a new Chevrolet.
At General Motors, we're committed to leadership in fuel efficiency.
If you want a small color TV set with a really great picture, express tuning, and ultra-modern styling, then buy a Sony Trinitron. If you want a medium-sized color TV with the same great picture plus infrared remote control, then there's a Sony Trinitron for you, too. If you want a really big color TV with all the features imaginable, you can now buy a big 28-inch Sony Trinitron. No matter what you want, there's a Sony Trinitron for you.
It took the Royal Bank to bring a girl and her horse together. Today, Don Hood is competing thanks to Hilda Smith of the Royal Bank in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Hilda approved a loan for Don to buy the horse, and later a horse trailer and a truck. Success can't always be measured by material gains. To Don, it's a piece of colored ribbon. And that's fine by us, because however you define success, when you succeed, we succeed.
Take a turn of the wind to the heights where you have never been. Let the feeling surround you. Take a while and share a smile when you're smiling. Keep on smiling. I'm in blue. Smiles alone, now it's you and the blue.
So next Sunday, for the third straight year in the Grey Cup game, it will be Edmonton and Montreal. Terry, in the regular season meeting right here at Commonwealth Stadium on the 8th of October, the Eskimos crushed Montreal 47-6. Do you think they'll do the same in the Grey Cup?
Mike Wilson did a job on Junior Ayew. Junior Ayew destroyed Ray Honey of the Ottawa Rough Riders. It was Junior Ayew all the way. They're going to have to stop that particular defensive player. We're going to take a look right here. You see, he just strips the block, comes on to the outside, makes an excellent tackle. He's got great speed. Ray Honey never got help all day. Junior Ayew was hot. He kept coming consistently strong with the pass rush. Ray Honey never laid a glove on him, but yet they never kept it back in to slow block. He's not going to get that same thing against an Edmonton team. He's got a Mike Wilson, one of the outstanding linemen in the league. Here comes Junior again for another quarterback sack.
That, of course, was in yesterday's Eastern Championship game, won by the Alouettes 17-6 over Ottawa. And, you know, I think there are going to be some people with something to prove in the rematch that takes place at Olympic Stadium. Carl Crennel, for one, and Tom Cousineau of the Alouettes playing the middle linebacking position. The reason that Crennel became expendable will also have something to prove.
Well, the Montreal offense was lubricocious the whole afternoon, and so was Ottawa. Well, they're not going to be able to play that way against an Edmonton defense. Edmonton, we've seen today, can score at any time at the game. If you give them an opportunity, they're going to take advantage of it. Montreal are going to have to score some football points, believe me.
Well, they certainly did the last time the Grey Cup game was played in Olympic Stadium. And as we look forward to the Grey Cup game, a key for the Eskimos will be how well some of the people who were injured this afternoon recover.
I don't think there was too many people that were seriously injured. Tom Wilkinson, though, has to come back. He has to get out of that. Well, he got into a rut, Don. You saw that. Warren Moon came in, played a great game, but he really doesn't use all the people that Tom Wilkinson does. But give credit to that Calgary defense. Boy, they took most of their stuff away from him.
One of the press people said to me at halftime, very facetiously, you know, when Warren Moon matures as a quarterback, he'll help this Eskimo club. That's what they've been saying ever since Moon first arrived. He certainly showed maturity and poise in directing the Eskimos to 2 touchdowns late in the first half. And some people have suggested that without Tom Wilkinson, this is a different Edmonton club. I've been one of the people who have made that suggestion, but Moon certainly did a job today.
Well, I agree with that to a certain degree, because Warren always knows that he's got Tom Wilkinson behind him. And Wilkie will sit on that sideline. He'll say, okay, this will work now. It didn't work earlier. Warren Moon goes in. He's got terrific confidence in his arm. He reads downfield possibly better than Tom does. He's got a little better arm, and he doesn't mind striking up on top. Well, Wilkie will work it slow. He'll take his time. He'll be patient. He'll chisel away, and then all of a sudden he'll burn you. Well, Warren goes right on top right away. And that's the difference between the two of them.
Well, the Eskimos certainly have some very talented receivers. Waddell Smith hurt in the ball game. He did not come back. However, I just feel that was a precautionary measure. He should be ready for the Grey Cup game.
Well, looking at it defensively, Don, Terry Irvin, Ray Owens were shutting down the outside guys, and what did they do? They went to Tommy Scott and Stu Lang on the inside and John Konahowski, which we alluded to at the beginning of the game. If they were playing tough defense on the outside, you've got to go to your inside receivers who have got excellent speed against slower people. They were getting the pass protection, even though the defense was coming with a good pass rush. This is an excellent example of Konahowski catching the football. He slipped to the inside, picked it up as Robert Sparks ran away. They were the only real passing plays that they worked consistently all day long.
Well, we had promised you that we would be going to the Edmonton Eskimo dressing room. We are having some difficulties getting access and gaining entrance to the Eskimo dressing room. John Wells will be unable to talk with any of the Edmonton players, unfortunately. And we are running out of time as well, so right now I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of our entire Western football crew to say so long from Commonwealth Stadium and remind you to join us next week at Olympic Stadium for the Grey Cup game.
Canadian Professional Football on CBC. Brought to you by Canadian Pacific, owned by Canadians, working for Canadians. General Motors and your Chevrolet and Oldsmobile dealers across Canada. Labatt Breweries of Canada Limited, brewers of Labatt's 50 Ale and Labatt's Blue.
CBC. New Trident Mint.